Okay, so I'm already live then.
Yep, just hold on.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We've got the State of the Union coming up, and I'm fully prepared. I've got my snacks from Buc-ee's, right? The Embassy of Texas. I've got some other stuff from Tennessee just in case we play any drinking games later. I don't think we should make beautiful one of the key words that we use. Like if we got to take a drink every time someone says beautiful, that could be pretty dangerous. I'm just saying we're not trying to get anybody hurt here. We're also going to have the Oracle of Virginia on with us today, Christian Heiens. If you're not already following Christian Heiens on X, now would be a really good time as you're watching this to go over and make sure that you're following Christian as well. He's a pretty smart guy, and this is right up his alley. So we're going to be going over some of the reasons why this is a very important State of the Union address, because let's face it, a lot of these are just not. Like a lot of these, you'd be just fine skipping it all together. No real big deal. You can just read the highlights the following day and be just fine. This one is more important, and the reason why I think it is because it's going to set the tone going into the midterms. For the first year that Trump has been in office, I think overall it seemed like things were going pretty well from a polling perspective, from a perception perspective. I think a lot of people were happy that he seemed to be doing the things that he was going to do. And then we had some hiccups, right? So definitely Doge was not able to accomplish as much as it probably should have. But a lot of that's on Congress, not the president. But then the Epstein files, we just got to be honest, the Epstein files were not handled well. They're not handled well. They're continually not being handled well. However, there's other things that have gone incredibly well. Well, we didn't get everything we wanted out of Doge. We certainly stopped, billions of dollars that were being used, not just from fraud, waste, and abuse. No, those billions of dollars were being very effectively used by Democrats to push their ideology using our tax dollars through bureaucracies, through 501c3s, for the NGOs, all that stuff. And so I think it's important to recognize that's been a big win. He's also significantly reduced the size of the federal government. Again, there's a lot of us that want it to be even more, but this takes time and you need Congress to actually help with some of this stuff. That's the way our system works. So I think we need to give credit where credit is due with respect to the reduction of the overall size of the federal government. We've also seen a great deal of success, I believe, on the foreign affairs side. We're not getting involved in a whole lot of wars. That doesn't mean there hasn't been the strategic use of military power, whether it was against Iran, whether it was against Maduro, but it's also been leveraged into a lot of conflicts around the globe. That's been a positive development. And there's many, many more things that I think Trump needs to really come out today and hammer home by the numbers, right? Not just kind of the rhetorical flourishes, not just, we're great, we're back, it's greater than ever, the golden age, right? Great, but give some specifics, because quite frankly, Trump does have a lot to brag about in the first year of his second term. And I want to see him do that, right? I want to see him actually lay out specifics. There's also, I may or may not actually have some special insight into some people that he might be recognizing during the State of the Union speech, which I am very happy about. I can't reveal it yet. You'll see it when it happens, and I'll let you know when it happens who I'm referring to, but I'm really excited about somebody that is supposed to get recognized today during the State of the Union. Again, Christian will come on to give his take on all of this. The other thing, too, that's going to be happening is you got the rebuttal happening from Governor Abigail Spanberger, who they desperately want to be running for president in 2028. Spanberger is who they are grooming to run. And the rebuttal that she gives, this is the part where the first time on a national stage, people are going to get to see Abigail Spanberger. And the thing that I will tell you is that typically when she is on script, she does a pretty good job of coming off as being, just reasonable and middle of the road. And I have a feeling that she is really going to try to push her moderate credentials in her approach to the Trump administration. But Christian, myself, and we might have another special guest coming in a little bit later if we can get her to show up, are going to explain all the reasons why that's all it is. It's smoke and mirrors. It's her attempting to get one over on the American people. She's going to use some of them CIA skills that she's developed, because they certainly didn't come with governing skills, but she has done a pretty good job at being fairly deceptive and convincing people that she is something that she is not. Christian, brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I feel like it's been like 3 weeks since we last talked to each other.
I've been traveling all over the place. You've been busy with stuff. I see you're all suited up. You're all suited up with the hat that at one time he swore he would never wear.
You know, when I got this hat, it was right after Trump was arrested in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
I remember when we did the podcast on that episode, and I like brought it out for the first time and put it on. That was like the early summer of 2024. So
yeah. No. You did. I remember you proudly put it on and said, "That's it. I'm all in. I'm all in." Christian Heiens, Oracle of Virginia. It's a beautiful hat. Beautiful hat. He's all in now. All in. Was once a never Trumper, but no more. No more. Iron Ballsack says, "For the love of Virginia, please run for Senate." Oh, Iron, I got to tell you what, man, I appreciate the compliment, but I think we got some other people looking to run this year, and I don't know if I'm the guy. I don't know if I'm the guy. For those of you who don't know, I actually ran against Abigail Spanberger in 2020, and we ran a great race. Christian was working on that race, and all the way up until election day, we were looking strong. We had got the numbers in that we thought we needed to win, and then a number of things happened. Not the least of which was a magical thumb drive showed up in Henrico County, the bluest county in the district, with 15,000 votes. Apparently, it had been mislabeled. I think there was that, and there was also something like 14,000 absentee ballots that were returned that were never requested. It was, running, and I got to tell you, running during COVID was an interesting time to be running for office. It was nuts.
It's also worth remembering that you did run for U.S. Senate before too.
Oh, no, it's not. It is not worth remembering that, Christian. Thank you for that. This is the problem with friends that you've had in politics for way too long, is they know all the stories.
For everybody that's like, Nick needs to run again. He hasn't. Why? Like, he's been doing this for 10 years. It's not his fault that, people weren't paying attention for every single one of those races. But like, we've been through this before. I don't know what to say. Virginia's like one of the few states in the country where its political fate is just outside of its own hands. It's entirely dependent on what happens in Washington, D.C., because Northern Virginia just has such a huge outside, or should I say oversized impact on the direction of the state. And if you want to make Virginia competitive again, you have to just empty out Washington, D.C., basically.
Yeah. Matt Toomer said, "Can you speak about the Second Amendment rally in Richmond this March?" Yes, that's going to be March 14th at the Capitol. You can go find it online, but there's going to be another rally, two-way rally. Look, I will say I was there in 2020 where the two-way rally really made a difference. It absolutely did. We got some bad bills killed as a result of that. And so definitely go up and look for more information. March 14th in Richmond, they're going to have a two-way rally. I was already scheduled to be speaking somewhere else. I'm a man of my word. I'm going to be at that other event, but definitely go and check that out, because I'll tell you, if we do not have citizens showing up, not just in Richmond, but all over the Commonwealth protesting against these gun bills, Abigail's going to sign up. Like, she is looking to veto certain bills to be able to pad her moderate credentials. But man, some of these guys really, really want these gun bills. And so if you show up, that can make the difference. Travis said, "Christian's back. Where's Tina? Why did Nick fire and abandon his friends and family?" Dang, Travis, I did it. They're still here. I'm still paying them. But I don't know if you've noticed, we've gone to 5 shows a week, and I've been gone for like 3 weeks straight. So we didn't get rid of anybody. Everybody's still happy and working hard. It's just with the travel lately, the travel has been absolutely nuts. We've had to do so much. But okay, Christian, while we got about another 7 minutes or so before the thing kicks off, and just so everyone remembers, right, this thing's going to kick off. There's going to be all the pomp and circumstance. People are going to be coming in. We'll be talking about things as that's going on. We're going to try not to interrupt the actual speech too much. And then we'll talk a little bit after. Then we'll see Abigail Spanberger. We'll definitely do a rebuttal to her. Again, I'm hoping to have another special guest on to help us with that as well, to give some insights. But we'll see what happened. Midwestern said, "Where's your hotel room, Nick?" No, not this one. I'm actually back home for this one. But it has been like, you'll notice for most of the podcasts of the last 3 weeks, they've been like in a different hotel room every night. Christian, any major thoughts, expectations, Oracle style stuff you predict for tonight?
I think Trump's gonna talk about maybe some of the foreign policy successes that he's pulled off lately,
Mhm.
right? You know, he might bring up things like Panama just recently came out and said that they're going to be kicking China out of the Panama Canal. That was a huge win for Trump.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that, but we don't want the Chinese in control of the Panama Canal. Obviously, he might bring up what happened in Venezuela at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
I think that he's really, though, going to probably focus on domestic stuff more than foreign policy stuff. I know that I started with that, but like, he's probably going to talk about how inflation's come down. I'm not saying prices have come down, unfortunately, just the rate at which they go up has come down. He's probably going to talk about some of the stuff in his agenda that he ran on in 2024 that he's pulled off. So like the reduction in federal workers, he might build off of his last State of the Union address last year, talking about the successes with Doge.
Yeah.
And he might also tie that in with some of the fraudulent stuff that's come out of blue states, like the story about the Somalis in Minnesota, right? The blue state mismanagement model. I could see him drawing a strong contrast between the type of vision that he's got for the country and the results that you see out of blue states and blue cities in places like California or New York or Illinois. So, I mean, that's the angle that I would go. More than anything else, he's got to find a way to energize the Republican base for the midterms because we have an enthusiasm problem.
I think he's got to talk. I think he's got to talk about the foreign policy stuff from the perspective of just like a quick overview on all the successes that he's had without getting us involved in other wars. And, you know, people are going to get upset. Well, you kidnapped a world leader. Yeah, a world leader that you guys all thought was illegitimate. So why are you spending all this time defending the guy? And, well, he bombed Iran. Yeah, a country with a dictatorial Ayatollah that hates the United States that wants nukes. And oh, by the way, we didn't deploy any troops. We didn't lose anybody, right? So unlike Biden coming in and getting a bunch of people killed with a botched withdrawal. So I think he has to do that. On the domestic side, there's always going to be this question of, well, if inflation's down, why aren't prices down? Well, because inflation continues to go up, it just doesn't go up at the same rate. And that's the part where it's really difficult to explain, you know, how monetary policy impacts everything. But I do think he's going to be able to talk about GDP growth. I do think he's going to be able to talk about increasing jobs and those jobs being those jobs actually going to Americans. I think that's what he's going to emphasize with respect to the domestic economic policy. And he's going to hit the border hard, right? I mean, the bottom line is when you do the numbers comparisons between how many border interactions they've had in the entire first year versus what they were having per month under Biden, I mean, the numbers are just stark. So if you're looking for like huge differences in things, that's going to have a big impact. I think you'll also probably mention something with not allowing corporations to, you know, the whole BlackRock thing with buying up single family homes. I think that's going to be addressed. I think when it comes to tariffs and all, this is one where I think there has to be a little bit more nuance than he's done in the past, right? He's always passed off tariffs as if they're key to they're key to prosperity as opposed to negotiating tactics. But by the same token, it's again, when you've got all these businesses coming back to the United States because he's made it more advantageous, both from a regulatory perspective as well as from the tariff perspective, that's going to be something he's going to hit on to try to buttress against the Democrats' argument that, well, he's not making things more affordable. And I think the funny part is Abigail Spanberger is probably going to hit him on rising prices and affordability at the same time that she's presiding over, you know, a government in Virginia where the legislature has proposed taxes on like 51 new different things. And she's supporting a lot of those taxes. So I think it's going to be, again, I think Trump has a lot to talk about here. I think I agree with you. He needs to hit on the domestic side, but he also needs to keep this idea of, you know, we are making America great again. People have to believe that it is actually happening, that the reason why they're not hearing more about it in the news is because everyone likes to, you know, focus on doom and gloom and the latest crap that's taking place. I think he really needs, the crime statistics are another thing too that he can just clean house on. He really needs to hammer home on dropping murder rates, especially in the areas where he has that, like, you know, federalizing law enforcement in DC. All that's going to be advantageous. Real quick, Volpine Machine said, pardon the interruption, but this anti-woke liberal would like you to run for president. We need godly men who live by their principles more than we need strict political alignment. Thank you very much. I'm honored. I don't think I'm the guy to run for president. I've joked around about this before that if God wanted me to run for president, I'd do it, but I'd ask for ID first because running for president is just oh my gosh, what a difficult thing. Running for Congress was difficult enough. I don't know about president, but
Nick,
again, I
do
appreciate
you think that to what degree do you think Trump might take a jab at the Supreme Court for a couple of their recent rulings, particularly the one basically reversing his tariff position? And he's now come out and cited a different code section in order to justify what he's trying to do. But he was pretty upset when the court came out with their ruling on that.
Usually when
I'm
Trump's
not convinced that he will take
Yeah.
a jab at them. I'm just curious your take on it.
Here's the deal. I think Trump has a hard time not bringing stuff like that up when he's pissed about something. By the same token, I don't think it's a good idea. It's not as if this Supreme Court has been bad to him overall, right? But there are some questions about what presidential authority is actually included with respect to the degree of trade policy and the degree of tariffs that he was implementing. And so that's the part where I think, maybe he mentions it, maybe goes to a different code section, maybe does something like that. Fine. I think if he comes out hard against the Supreme Court, I don't think it's a good move strategically. If there was one area where he wanted to come out hard and really kind of like bully Republicans, it would be the SAVE Act. That is the one where I would apply presidential pressure on, get the SAVE Act passed, because this is one of the biggest items for the American people in general. The vast majority of the American people want voter ID. They want voter ID. 72% of Black voters want photo ID as a requirement to vote. And so this is a totally winning situation for them, whereas the Democrats have gone all out of their way to be like, oh, this is Jim Crow 2.0. I'm like, well, Democrats know something about Jim Crow since you guys are the author of the original, but I don't think this bears any resemblance to it. And I think that's an area where he could like maybe needle Thune a little bit, Senate Majority Leader, be like, get this done. Alex come about and said, please run for governor next time. Again, guys, I don't know if I'm the guy to run for. I don't know if I'm the guy that should be running for office anymore, just to be perfectly honest. I love what Tina and I are able to do right now, where we're speaking into families and helping with that. And we want to continue to do that. Doesn't mean we don't want to continue to fight for, our country and our values within the political sphere. I just don't know if elected office is going to be the way to do it for us going forward. All right. I keep checking over here to see when the State of the Union is going to start, because like I said, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance. So we don't necessarily, actually, we could probably just share the screen up here so you guys can all see what we're seeing. We're watching it directly from the White House channel on YouTube. We're not going with any of the other stuff. But yeah, I don't know. So let me ask you this, Christian. Do you think when it comes to tariffs, what sort of position do you think he's going to take on that, or how do you see him talking about that?
To the degree that he brings it up, I can see him maybe hinting that he disagrees with the Supreme Court's ruling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saying that, this is important to his agenda, and that, he wants to bring back manufacturing, and that he's not going to let, basically anything get in the way of his mission on that. I kind of agree with you that strategically it doesn't make a lot of sense to directly attack the court when there's still a couple more like some really important rulings that they still have to come out with.
Yeah.
I will say this though, like Trump hinted the other day that he thinks that the court is going to take the side of what he calls China in the birthright citizenship case.
Yeah.
His position is basically this, that we have Guam, and there's this entire industry that will fly over Chinese citizens to give birth to their children in Guam, so that way they automatically get American citizenship. And the administration thinks that there's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people that have taken advantage of birthright citizenship in order to fly their parents over into the US, briefly give birth on American soil, and then suddenly their kid, you have like CCP members whose children are now American citizens according to our birthright citizenship rules. And so like this is probably one of the most important cases you can think of, because it would fundamentally alter our understanding of what makes somebody an American, basically. Yeah. And I mean, this is arguably more important than the tariff case. This is more important than Chevron, which was a huge ruling a couple of years ago. Like, this is ultimately defining like who belongs to America, who gets to vote in our elections.
No, I think it's a very good point, because if we get the correct ruling on that, and I say correct intentionally because I think that is the right way to put it, that significantly alters things in a way that has been needed for a long time. I think the other one too that we have to, there's going to eventually come up, is this whole idea of apportionment. Because
you mean like with congressional seats and illegal aliens?
Yeah, because the idea that sanctuary cities get more representation, like sanctuary areas get more representation because they have more non-citizens, which get counted toward the census and their congressional representation, is just, as we can see, it is a horrible, perverse incentive that needs to be corrected for. And so I really want to see that change.
I mean, I do too. To be honest though, I'm not terribly optimistic that we're going to get the type of ruling that we want to see on this,
Yeah.
to just be totally honest. Like, I had this tweet out the other day that kind of got some traction, and I was like, if the Supreme Court sides with ACLU and all these progressive groups on the birthright citizenship case, there's a not insignificant chance that just kills the country over a multi-generational period.
Yeah.
Because if you've redefined, if you've permanently defined what it means to be an American to simply be whoever physically enters the country when they give birth to a child, you've effectively made being an American a total abstraction based on what is the physical geography of where you were when you came into this world. And there's no other restriction on who can come in and actually participate in the political process. And so it's not going to be like overnight you get Mad Max, right? Or you get some sort of collapse tomorrow. It'll happen in waves, but eventually you'll have a disintegration of the country because you have no ability to restrict the definition of the political membership to the polis to anything other than an abstraction. And abstractions can't really act. Like democracy requires, and I mean, I don't mean this in the way that libs define it. I mean this like in the classical sense, like the way the Romans or Greeks would refer to it, like self-governance, right? If you want to define it that way instead of democracy, self-governance requires a shared identity between the rulers and the rule that they have. The whole point is that when you look at your leaders, you're like, I see myself in their actions or in who that person is. I don't see like a foreign king or emperor or managerial technocrat. I see one of my own.
Yeah.
But
okay. Hey, Christian, let me cut you off here real quick because it does look like we're getting going here. So let's go ahead and. All right. I think
he's entered the building.
Yeah, I just introduced the President of the United States. Here comes the slow walk in with the shaking of the hands. Hi, how you doing? Great to see you. Good. Bob, you're looking great. I'll tell you what, I have seen. I was up at a Christmas party. This sounds so pretentious. I was up at a Christmas party at the White House, as one does. But I was up there, and Trump roasts his friends, big time. Like there was some guy when we were at the White House for the Christmas party, and Trump's like, where's Doug at? Where's Doug? Great guy, very successful businessman, very, very successful. Rich guy, looks great. Costs a lot of money to get him that way. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. But he does like surprisingly good Trump voice. Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate it. It's gotten better. I've had to work on it a little bit, but I do think it's funny when he just will roast friends of his in a crowd like that, where there's a lot of people that don't know who he's talking about. We're all looking around like, Marco did a great job. He's going to run Venezuela. He's moving up pretty quick. Look, this lady is intense. She's like, I want to shake your hand so badly. Oh, man, there was some talk of a couple of Republicans protesting over Epstein with the Democrats. And, it's one of those things where I completely understand Republicans being pissed about Epstein files. I'm pissed about the Epstein files. But why would you protest with Democrats about it? The Democrats aren't pissed about it. The Democrats see this as a useful weapon. If the Democrats were genuinely upset about the Epstein files, they would have done something when they controlled everything. They did nothing, right? You can argue the Republicans haven't done enough, but they actually got the files out there. But yeah, it's like, my gosh, man, come on. I'll tell you another thing too that I've enjoyed lately is you saw that joke that Trump had about like, Marco did great job at the conference. Almost fired him. He did such a good job. But it has actually been great to it has actually been great to see kind of the bad cop, good cop stuff between Trump and some of the other members of the administration. Jessica Hayes, your TDS variant 2 is showing, Nick Freitas. This variant believes that Trump does no wrong. And like, Christian, how many times have I like criticized Trump on something from Epstein files to things with like inflationary monetary policy? Jessica, please. If you're going to say stuff, at least let it be true. All right, I don't mind critiques. I'll take good critiques as long as they're decent ones.
I mean, she's welcome to attack me on those grounds, but I think that it's pretty ridiculous to attack you on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, let me see here. All right, he's coming. Wow, that was actually kind of a quick move up to the dais here.
So the U.S. Men's Olympic hockey team is up there in the stands. He's going to probably call them out at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's
Thomas Massey.
Look, I don't care what anybody says. I like Thomas Massey.
I will say the optics of what he's doing tonight, terrible optics.
Is he sitting with Ro Khanna?
He's sitting with the Democrats.
He's sitting with Ro Khanna. Yeah, I think that's this is the thing. I like Thomas Massey. I respect him because I think he's a man of integrity. Every once in a while, he will choose. And I'm glad he did the discharge petition and got us the Epstein files. I don't know that sitting with Democrats is helpful at this point because, again, I go back to it with the possible exception of Ro Khanna. I don't think most of the Democrats care. I really don't. They see this. It's either politically useful or not. That's the extent to which they care. Can we turn the volume up on this a little bit more? Or maybe I'm just hearing it wrong. There we go.
They got to do 10 minutes worth of clapping.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Yeah, can we turn the volume up at all, Hamilton? I think part of it now is it's just that he's not speaking. Once he speaks, it'll probably go up there.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's really an honor. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, First Lady of the United States.
Look at how tall Barron is now.
Dude, yeah, Barron's freaking.
Second Lady of the United States.
And she's going to have a baby.
Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before. Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America. When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages.
See, this is the part where I really want him to get into like numbers. I really want him to kind of prove the point in this speech here. Trump usually excels at kind of like the rally type of speech, but like this is one where I'm hoping we get into like very like specifics. And that's the thing. It's like for all the Republicans, like, okay, stand up and cheer, but like sit down and let him get to the meat.
And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today, our border is secure.
Oh my gosh, guys, come on. Like, I'm glad you're patriotic, but let the man talk. We're just into it. Because there's some reps where this is their way of showing
Today,
how
our
loyal
border
they
is
are.
secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before. And our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked. And America is respected again, perhaps like never before.
There's going to be some people that wonder the members of the Supreme Court and the members of the Armed Chiefs of Staff don't stand and clap.
After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far.
That's true. That's true. But give us some
We all
numbers.
knew that he was going to lead with
Yeah.
immigration. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. But it's like, give the numbers because the numbers are so like I've got the numbers here. That's why
He
I
needs
wanted
to talk about remigration.
0 illegal
There
aliens
we go.
have been admitted to the United States.
Oh, I love that they've got these things that they're showing on screen here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Right there.
That is that's really good that they're
But
adding.
we
those.
will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country.
Yeah.
There's the moderate concession.
Well, it's not even a moderate concession, really. I mean, it's like
Right now it is. The right the right wants
The
basically
flow
no
of deadly
immigration.
fentanyl across our border is down by a record 56% in 1 year.
see, this is the part where why can't Democrats like stand for that? Like that's not you're not happy about that? Like, oh darn.
And last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, think of it, in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years, year 1900. In fact, substantially before my
you go.
wonderful father, I had a wonderful father, Fred, before he was born, substantially before he was born. That's a long time ago. He wouldn't like me to say that, but that's a long time ago. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. And in the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%.
Yeah, no, that's significant. Yeah, the stuff that they're doing where they actually bring up on the screen what's going on is pretty good. Is pretty good. Core inflation is down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. Yeah.
Gasoline, which reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states under my predecessor, it was quite honestly a disaster, is now below $2.30 a gallon in most states, and in some places, $1.99 a gallon. And when I visited the great state of Iowa just a few weeks ago, I even saw $1.85 a gallon for gasoline.
Yeah. Stuff like those are good metrics that people can actually see and understand. It also draws a distinction between good states when it comes to gas and bad states like California, where it's still really expensive.
Mortgage rates are the lowest in 4 years and falling fast, and the annual cost of a typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 just since I took office. 1 year.
I can attest to this.
And low interest rates will solve the Biden-created housing problem while at the same time protecting the values of those people who already own a house that really feel rich for the first time in their lives. We want to protect those values. We want to keep those values up. We're going to do both.
That's a little tough to pull off.
That is
That's a little tough
totally
to pull
not
off.
possible.
And we are
I
gonna
get
keep it that
politically,
way.
I get politically why he's saying
Set
that. But
53 all-time record highs since the election. Think of that. 1 year. Boosting pensions, 401ks, and retirement accounts for the millions and millions of Americans. They're all gaining. Everybody's up, way up. In 4 long years, the last administration got less than $1 trillion in new investment in the United States. And when I say less, substantially less. In 12 months, I secured commitments for more than $18 trillion pouring in from all over the globe.
Yeah.
that is definitely something that I've seen Trump tout quite often. He'll do press conferences where he brings people into the White House, like, you know, major corporations from overseas, and they'll say,
Yeah.
we're
Think
gonna
of
build a
it,
new
much
factory.
less than $1 trillion for 4 years versus much more than $18 trillion for 1 year. What a difference a president makes.
That was good. That's a good stat. That's a good
Short time
stat.
ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, the hottest.
That's the other thing too, is that like Trump's style is braggadocious, right? But he brags on his country as well. But yeah, that's crazy. 18 trillion. Why is the deficit going up?
As
Because two things can happen at the
thousands
same
of new
time.
Businesses are forming in factories, plants, and laboratories are being built. We have added 70,000 new construction jobs in just a very short period of time. It's getting bigger and bigger and stronger. Nobody can believe what they're watching. American oil production is up by more than 600,000 barrels a day, and we just received from our new friend and partner, Venezuela, more than 80 million barrels of oil.
I got to tell you, he pulled off the Venezuela thing in a way that I just did not imagine to be possible.
I love that he just, you know, sneaked the Venezuela topic into
American
this right now.
natural
Yeah.
gas production is at an all-time high because I kept my promise to drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, the energy costs have they have an oversized effect on the rest of prices in the economy because obviously so much is determined by energy costs. So you lower energy costs, you
More
actually have the
Americans are
ability to lower
working
prices
today
across the
than
board.
at any time in the history of our country. Think about that. Any time in the history of our country, more working today. And 100% of all jobs created under my administration have been in the private sector.
Yeah, so this is a very important distinction because a lot of times Democrats will tout job growth when all they've done is expand the bureaucracy or they've expanded jobs directly associated with the bureaucracy or government spending. So to create jobs in the private sector is real job
in
growth.
America.
Yeah. Going after DEI, that's awesome. Yeah. Abigail Spanberger brought DEI back to Virginia.
We cut a record number of job-killing regulations, and in 1 year, we have lifted 2.4 million Americans, a record, off of food stamps.
That's a good.
That's a good one for the traditional.
And again, it's another one
Republican base
Democrats
right
won't
now.
stand for or clap for. Like they won't clap for anything. I remember in Virginia when we do it for
all
the State of the
these
Commonwealth.
reasons, I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
In Virginia, when we have the State of the Commonwealth address, if the governor talks about, even if it's not our governor, if he talks about something that is genuinely good for Virginia, we all tend to stand and clap. That's just not the case with these guys. And increasingly, it's just not the case with Democrats in general.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no. You're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And
We're going to win bigly. It's going to be some big. It's going to be big, beautiful wins.
Here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
Oh, finally, the
finally
Democrats are happy to
stand.
get up.
Finally, they'll stand. I gotta tell you, this is the part where
That was
I've
the
just
most Trump introduction I've ever
yeah.
seen.
These people ask me, why we're winning too much. It's too much. I can't do it. No, there's more to come.
Yeah. No, the men and women's team just crushed it in hockey. Yeah, Melissa said it's amazing the D's are always calling for unity, that they refuse to clap for anything if it's an R. No, it's true. It's because the call for unity doesn't mean us, right? They just want us to shut up and comply. Yeah. Oh, poor Canada can't stop taking L's. Yeah. The men's hockey and the women's hockey team just crushed it. So satisfying.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Gauntlet. All I do is win. Yeah, that would be funny if he played that walking out. Oh man, what was that? DJ Khaled. All I do is win. Yeah. Did you see this? The save, like the goalie. Oh my gosh!
He had a couple.
That's the first time.
That's the
I've
most
ever seen
epic
them
save
get
I've ever
up.
seen.
And actually, not all of them did get up. But they beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women, who will soon be coming to the White House.
Nice. There we go. Nice. Yeah, that was I'm sorry. It was just so, listen, to anybody watching from Canada, or Alberta. Yeah, I make that distinction. That was just, oh man, what a game. What a game. I don't know if the women declined.
They declined for non-political reasons.
got it.
I just want to say
their team had already come
second
back to the
very big
US.
congratulations to Team USA. But I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there, and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuck.
Man. Yeah, that play is going down forever.
I like that he's doing this kind of at the beginning of the
Yeah.
speech, where, because as this drags on, you're gonna have a bunch of people fall off. By the time you get to like 2 hours into it.
Yeah, you get, people get tired. It's,
Think of it, 46 shots on goal, and I asked him, the one shot, the one where you put your stick in the back and it hit the neck of your stick and bounced off. You practice that, or was that a little lucky? He refused to answer that question. But I just want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case, my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given, and which has been given
Presidential
to
Medal of
many
Freedom.
athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country.
Are they really
the
giving the-
Presidential Medal of Freedom?
Okay. Thomas Sowell. Why does Thomas Sowell not have the Presidential Medal of Freedom? Like that's an award that's typically like a lifetime I don't know about that one, man. Look, nothing against that goalie. He's awesome. That was a great game, the whole deal.
In his defense, it was the first gold medal that we've won in what, like 40 years?
No.
In hockey?
We won it in
I'm pretty
84.
sure-
Great
Yeah, that was
athletes
like
have
40
gotten
years
that
ago.
very great.
Was that 40 years ago? Holy hell, I'm
That's
old.
what he deserved. Let you take a vote.
No, we won in 84.
I'm not giving it.
It was if it was
Every
42
time
years
one of them
ago.
rapidly put up their hand. So I want to thank you. What a
Yeah, it was
special job you did. What special champions you are. Thank you very much.
I want to see Thomas Sowell get the Presidential Medal of Freedom so bad. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, we the people are telling me how old I am. I am ancient. Shut up, Jay Mozart.
Yeah, Nick's so old, he's seen us win the
Also
Olympics
pleased to say
twice.
that the next time the Olympic torch is lit, it will be here in America for the 2028 Olympics, and it's the summer version right in Los Angeles. We're going to do a good job in Los Angeles.
You can see
And
like
Los
the
Angeles
California
is going to be
Democrats
safe,
clapping.
just like Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country.
Yeah, there we go. We're going to the
that
crime
was
stats.
that was a smooth transition right there.
Yeah.
And this year, and I must say I got them both. I got them in the first term. I was disappointed because I didn't think I'd be the president when this happened. But strange things took place. And now I've got them because I got the Olympics and I got the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And I wanted to claim the 250th, but I didn't get away with that one. I couldn't claim that one for myself. But we're getting the World Cup. So we have the World Cup and the Olympics coming. And that is exciting news.
I don't know about communist kickball personally, but I get into sports when my country is
So
playing.
this will be a
I will say
year
that.
to celebrate our country and the heroes who have kept it free. Men like Buddy Taggart. At age 17, Buddy volunteered to defend America in World War II, serving in the Pacific under the great General Douglas MacArthur. He fought bravely in the famous Battle of Manila, worked so hard. He was badly wounded and almost killed by enemy machine guns in Luzon. And 81 years ago this month, he liberated the largest internment camp in the Philippines, one of the largest anywhere in the world. But he earned many honors, including a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, came home, started a family, and tonight he is in the gallery looking forward to July 4th, 2026, his 100th birthday.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. Like my grandfather, he joined the Navy at 16 during World War II. And like for him, it was just like, well, yeah, we were at war. Like, people have been like, oh my gosh, you were in Iraq at 25. I'm like, that's not that young by comparison, right? And then especially compared to my grandfather, was like 16, and he didn't expect to be like fawned over for it. It was just
He's
something
the
he
age
did.
of my great grandfather who passed
Yeah.
away a dozen years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Buddy, you're a brave man, and we salute you. Even in times of challenge, setback, and immense heartache, the spirit of 1776 has always shone through very brightly. It was July 4th of last year when floodwaters tore through a girls' summer camp in Central Texas. One of the worst things I've ever seen. I was there, rising 26 feet in the matter of minutes, tragically claiming many, many lives. You all remember that one. As the waters threatened to sweep her away, 11-year-old Millie Kate McClelland closed her eyes and prayed to God. She thought she was going to die. Those prayers were answered when Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin descended from a helicopter above. Nobody knew where he came from. It was Scott's first ever rescue mission. A young guy, but very brave, very, very top, always top in his class. And he lifted not just Millie Kate, but 164 others to safety.
Wow. That's one of the things that's nice about the State of the Union too, is that you are supposed to spend time focusing on not just the administration, not just the policies, but also people, Americans that have done significant things. And because that is supposed to have a unifying component to it. And again, we got plenty of examples here. This is great. Hey, by the way, people complain about the commercials.
People
I have no
watched
control
Scott
over
from
YouTube
a
commercials.
distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The winds were blowing,
What they
the
do
rain
or
was
what they show.
pouring, everything was going, and that rapid water, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said, wow, that's something. Tonight, Scott and Millie Kate are here together, reunited for the very first time. Thank you, Scott, Millie Kate. And Petty Officer Ruskin, I'm pleased to inform you that I am now awarding you the Legion of Merit for extraordinary heroism, which is what it was, extraordinary heroism. Thank you.
I don't know if, I honestly don't know if is the Legion of Merit, I don't think it's awarded for heroism, actually. Am I wrong on that one?
I didn't even know that we had an award called Legion of Merit.
Yeah, we
I'd
do.
like to have the military aide to please come down and take care of the service. Military aid, thank you very much.
Let me
Take
see.
care of that very important service.
Yeah, it's for outstanding service rather than direct heroism.
From 1776 to
That's what I
today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together, we're building a nation where every child has the chance to reach higher and go further, where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who came before us, and that is the promise we must keep to America for our 250th year. Last year, I urged this Congress to begin the mission by passing the largest tax cuts in American history, and our Republican majorities delivered so beautifully. Thank you, Republicans.
Yeah, Michael said Legion of Merit is just under Medal of Honor. I don't think that's accurate. Distinguished Service Cross, because Legion of Merit is for outstanding service, but then you have things like the Silver Star, the Distinguished Service Cross. Those are specifically for valor. And then you have things like a Bronze
All
Star, which can be for
Democrats,
service
every
or valor.
single one of
Or an
them
Orcom,
voted
which can be
against
for
these
valor.
really important and very necessary massive tax cuts.
Well, this is the part where he's going. This is the part where it's like enough unity. Enough unity.
They wanted large-scale tax increases to hurt the people instead.
I'm
We
loving this
held
part.
strong, and with the great, big, beautiful bill, we gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Yeah. This is the all right in your face time. Well, and honestly, they do it. So what's the point? I mean, like, I'm tired of us. I'm tired of us being nice.
And we also made interest on auto loans tax deductible the first time, but only if the car is made in America.
You know, what's interesting is made in America doesn't mean it needs to be an American-owned company. One of the things he's done with tariffs is it's actually encouraged a lot of these foreign companies to set up shop in the United
Pennsylvania,
States.
I met Megan Hemhauser, a devoted mom who's homeschools her children, beautiful, 2 children, during the day while waiting tables at night as her husband works overtime operating very heavy equipment. Megan is here this evening, and she's happy to tell you that she is so much richer because with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and our expanded child tax credit done again by Republicans, Megan and her husband will take home more than $5,000 extra just for the year, cutting her tax bill in more than half. Megan, please stand up. We're fighting for you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. We're fighting for you, Megan. Under our bill, parents like Megan can also activate their children's brand new Trump accounts. And I didn't name it. I did not.
I didn't name it.
I did not name that.
Wasn't my, I mean, it's my idea, but it wasn't named.
Nobody believes me, but I did not name it. It was named by a very tall man sitting right there in the third row. Nice man, a good man. Tax-free investment accounts for every American child. This is something that's so special and has taken off and gone through the roof. Millions will be pre-funded courtesy of the U.S. Treasury and private individuals like Michael and Susan Dell, who have donated $6.25 billion to fund the Trump accounts for 25 million American children.
That is a pretty amazing concept. I don't, again, as a free
great
market guy, I'm
people.
like, but I mean, honestly, setting up retirement accounts like that, that can't have an outsized, it can have an outsized influence in too, because if you look at it, it's almost like a privatized form of Social Security, which is,
I
again, what
asked
we should
Michael
be
Dell, how do
doing.
you make all that money? He said, well, I just sat on my dorm in school and I made computers and I'd sell them to people. And I just kept selling and selling and selling. And pretty amazing story. That's called the American dream. He sold a lot of computers, a lot of those laptops. So I congratulate him on that. But I really thank him and Susan, as well as others like Brad Gerstner, a very tremendous guy. He was behind it right from the beginning. Brad Gerstner. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, that's one goal I've had, is actually to try to set up retirement accounts for my kids.
So with
So I'm
modest
waiting-
additional contributions, these young people's accounts could grow to over $100,000 or more by the time they turn 18. Think of it. How much money is that for somebody that started with nothing? Over 100,000, could be much more than that. To make this investment in our children's future, go to trumpaccounts.gov, trumpaccounts.gov. And a lot of people are doing it. It's setting every record in the book. It's popular. They knew what it was going to take. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of the people that got it started. And now it's just taken off. One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. Everything was working well. Countries that were ripping us off for decades are now paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. They were ripping us so badly. You all know that. Everybody knows it. Even the Democrats know it. They just don't want to say it. And yet these countries are now happy, and so are we. We made deals. The deals are all done. And they're happy. They're not making money like they used to, but we're making a lot of money. There was no inflation, tremendous growth. And the big story was how Donald Trump called the economy correctly, and 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics didn't. They got it totally wrong. They got it really wrong. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court.
We knew this was coming.
Came down. Very unfortunate.
Oh, and here comes the
ruling.
Democrats clapping this.
But the good news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful country saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in. peace protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them with
Yeah, he's not wrong on being able to use
remain in
economic
place
power
under
like
fully
that.
approved and tested alternative legal statutes. And they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love.
So this part is almost impossible.
Yeah, that's the part where it's like, guys, this isn't realistic. You're not going to replace the income tax right now with tariffs,
especially when we have a multi-trillion-dollar annual deficit.
Yeah,
jobs, investment, and trillions of dollars will continue pouring into the United States of America because we finally have a president who puts America first. I put America first. I love America.
Lefson said, I'd love to see an across-the-board tariff on all foreign imports with an elimination of the income tax for anyone making less than $150K. That would be a huge boon. I want it. And I'll tell you why, because I don't like
decades
it when we tell some people
along,
you don't got to pay any taxes and we tell other people you got to pay all the taxes. It creates a bad system.
To immigration. Everything was stolen and rigged in order to drain the wealth out of the productive, hardworking people who make our country great, who make our country run. Under Biden and his corrupt partners in Congress and beyond, it reached a breaking point with the Green New scam, open borders for everyone. They poured in by the millions and millions from prisons, from mental institutions. They were murderers, 11,888 murders. They came into our country. You allowed that to happen. And record-setting inflation that cost the typical family $34,000 in just a speck of time. Now the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly used the word affordability, a word they just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem.
Dang.
That was very direct.
Yeah, it was. And you know what? Screw them. Again, they have no problem accusing us of the worst things possible.
They knew their statements were a lie. They knew it. They knew their statements were a dirty, rotten lie. Their policies created the high prices. Our policies are rapidly ending them. We are doing really well. Those prices are plummeting downward.
The problem that Trump has is so far is that he needs to articulate what
the price
more
of eggs
he wants to be doing
is
going
down
forward,
60%.
rather than just recount all these apparent great things that he's achieved so
Cost
far.
of chicken, butter, fruit, hotels, automobiles, rent is lower today than when I took office by a lot. And even beef, which was very high, is starting to come down significantly. Just hold on a little while. We're getting it down. And soon you will see numbers that few people would think were possible to achieve just a short time ago. Nobody can believe when they see the kind of numbers, and especially energy, when they see energy going down to numbers like that, they cannot believe it. It's like another big tax cut. I'm also confronting one of the biggest ripoffs of our times, the crushing cost of health care.
Yeah.
Caused by you.
Oh, dang.
Affordable Care Act, sometimes referred to as Obamacare, big insurance company has gotten rich. It was meant for the insurance companies, not for the people. With our government giving them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year as their stock prices soared 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, and even 1,700%, like nothing else. That's why I introduced the great healthcare plan. I want to stop all payments to big insurance companies and instead give that money directly to the people so they can buy their own healthcare, which will be better healthcare at a much lower cost.
Yeah, it's true. The trying to pay for all healthcare through insurance was one of the dumbest ideas ever. And the bottom line is it started under FDR, because and part of it because of his tax schemes and part of it because of other things they were trying to do. But insurance is a
In
horrible
addition,
way to
my
pay for
plan
things unless
requires
it's something that insurance is
maximum
designed for.
Price transparency. That's a big deal. Sounds so simple, so big.
Stacey
And I
says you
did
realize
that
that
in
local
my
government
first
has more
term,
control
and
of
the
prices than
Democrats
Trump. No,
immediately
Stacey, that's not
terminated
really
it
true.
with full knowledge that they were doing a very bad thing for the people. Costs were going to go way up, and that's what happened. And now I'm bringing them way down on healthcare and everything else. I'm also ending the
It's true to a
wildly
point. I'll
inflated
put it that
cost
way.
of prescription drugs like has never happened before. Other presidents tried to do it, but they never could. They tried. Most didn't try, actually. But they tried. They said they tried. They couldn't do it. They didn't even come close. They were all talk and no action. But I got it done. Under my just enacted most favored nation agreements, Americans who have for decades paid by far the highest prices of any nation anywhere in the world for prescription drugs will now pay the lowest price anywhere in the world for drugs. Anywhere, the lowest price.
Yeah, a big problem with our drug pricing is we don't need subsidies. We
So
need
in my
reform with respect
first
to
year of the
patents.
second term, should be my third term, but strange things happen. I took
That's
prescription
trolling.
drugs, a very big part of healthcare, from the highest price in the entire world to the lowest. That's a big achievement. The result is price differences of 300, 400, 500, 600% and more, all available right now at a new website called TrumpRx.gov. And I didn't name that one either, by the way. And here tonight is the very first customer ever to get that big discount, and it is big. Catherine Rayner. For 5 years, she and her husband have struggled with infertility, and they turned to IVF. One drug has been costing Catherine $4,000 to purchase. But a few weeks ago, she logged onto the Trump RX website and got that same drug that cost $4,000, got it for under $500, a reduction of much more, actually, than $3,500. Catherine, we are all praying for you, and you're going to be a great mom.
Yeah, it's amazing what the reductions you can get in healthcare costs when you pay directly for something as opposed to going through insurance companies. That's just kind of the way it is. What do you mean by don't use the insurance unless it's what it's designed for? What I mean by that is insurance is specifically designed around things that are
Now I'm
unexpected.
calling on Congress
But we use
to
insurance to pay for
codify my
everything
most
within medical care,
favored
and it makes no
nation
sense.
program into law. Now, the one thing I'm not sure it matters because it's going to be very hard for somebody that comes along after me to say, let's raise drug prices by 700 or 800%. But John and Mike, if you don't mind, codify it anyway. They may do it. Codify it anyway. Thank you. Many Americans are also concerned that energy demand from AI data centers could unfairly drive up their electric utility bills. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that I have negotiated the new Ratepayer Protection Pledge. You know what that is? We're telling the major tech companies that they have the obligation to provide for their own power needs. They can build their own power plants as part of their factory so that no one's prices will go up. And in many cases, prices of electricity will go down for the community and very substantially down. This is a unique strategy never used in this country before. We have an old grid. It could never handle the kind of numbers, the amount of electricity that's needed. So I'm telling them they can build their own plant. They're going to produce their own electricity. It will ensure the company's ability to get electricity while at the same time lowering prices of electricity for you, and could be very substantial for all of you cities and towns. You're going to see some good things happen over the next number of years. Another pillar of the American dream that has been under attack is home ownership. With us tonight is Rachel Wiggins, a mom of 2 from Houston. She placed bids on 20 homes and lost all of those bids to gigantic investment firms that bypassed inspection, paid all cash, and turned those houses into rentals, stealing away her American dream. She was devastated. Stories like this are why last month I signed executive order to ban large Wall Street investment firms from buying up in the thousands single-family homes.
I'm actually curious to see how this is going to work. Because a lot of people say, well, it's a relatively small percentage. Well,
I'm surprised
okay,
that he tied in the AI thing with the home ownership thing. The AI
even
thing
if
is.
it's
And now I'm
7%.
asking Congress to
Yeah.
make that ban permanent, because homes for people, really, that's what we want. We want homes for people, not for corporations. Corporations are doing just fine. Rachel, thank you very much. Good luck with your home. You'll get one soon.
I'm actually shocked the Democrats didn't clap for that.
We're also
that
working
clip
to
there.
make it
I'm
easier
not.
for Americans to save for retirement. And under this administration, we will always protect Social Security and Medicare. They are not protecting it for our seniors. We will always protect Social Security.
This is one of these things that is politically
Endless
required to
pandering to
say.
boomers.
It is. It's one of these
Endless
things that is.
pandering to boomers.
It's politically required to say,
Since I
but the
took
bottom
office,
line is that Social
the
Security and
typical
Medicaid
401k
are horrible
balance is up by
programs.
at least $30,000. That's a lot of money. We have millions and millions of people, because the stock market has done so well, setting all those records. Your 401ks are way up. Yet half of all of working Americans still do not have access to a retirement plan with matching contributions from an employer. To remedy this gross disparity, I'm announcing that next year my administration will give these often forgotten American workers, great people, the people that built our country, access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker. We will match your contribution with up to $1,000 each year, as we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market. Let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider
Ooh, this is an
information.
interesting one.
Mm.
Is Elizabeth Warren going to stand up and clap for this? Oh, look, they did. They got some Democrats on this one. Oh, man. Nancy Pelosi's going to be pissed. Oh, man.
They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she was here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay.
Nice. Nice. That's a great one to go on to. That is a great thing to campaign on, because that just pisses off Americans like nobody's business, and for good reason.
I wasn't sure if anybody even on this side was going to applaud for that. I'm very impressed. Thank you. I'm very impressed. But when it comes to the corruption that is plundering, it's plundering America. There's been no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged.
Oh, dang.
We knew that. Remember, at the very start of this live stream, we talked about this.
Yep.
And in actuality, the number is much higher than that. And California, Massachusetts, Maine, and many other states are even worse. This is the kind of corruption that shreds the fabric of a nation, and we are working on it like you wouldn't believe. So tonight, although started 4 months ago, I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President, J.D. Vance.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, Robertson, we're going to hold people accountable. Again, some of that has to go through an investigation, right? And those can take a long time, especially if you want it to be done right. So I'm not telling you to not be frustrated with the slow progress, but I'm willing to give Trump time to work when it comes to actually like identifying
fraud,
and then
we will actually
convicting for
have
fraud is
a
different from
balanced
identifying
budget
fraud.
overnight. It'll go very quickly. That's the kind of money you're talking about. We'll balance our budget. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world corruption and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception.
I love
Importing
this
these
part.
cultures through
Yeah.
unrestricted immigration and open borders brings those problems right here to the USA. And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of this problem. We are not playing games.
I think Vance is
Delilah-
the right guy to run that up too on the fraud thing. I think Vance is the right guy to run that for both political and operational reasons. Yeah.
Delilah Colton was only 5 years old in June 2024 when a 18-wheel tractor trailer plowed into her stopped car traveling at 60 miles an hour or more. The driver was an illegal alien let in by Joe Biden and given a commercial driver's license by open borders politicians in California. Doctors said Delilah would never be able to walk or talk, have a good life. She wouldn't even be able to eat again. But against all odds, she is now in the first grade learning to walk. And she's here this evening with her dad, Marcus, a fantastic man. Delilah, please, you are a great inspiration. Please stand up.
Oh, Dems better stand for this. Hey, can we turn up the volume, Hamilton?
Thank you, Delilah.
Great question, Candace.
Many, if not most, illegal aliens do not speak English and cannot read even the most basic road signs as to direction, speed, danger, or location. That's why tonight I'm calling on Congress to pass what we will call the Delilah Law, barring any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, Abigail Spanberger. Let's see you comment on that one later tonight in your rebuttal. Being the Democrats in Virginia already gave out driver's license to illegals.
And yesterday, as you probably saw at the White House, I hosted a ceremony with Americans who lost their treasured loved ones to the scourge of illegal immigration. People came into our country, how we allowed this to happen with our open borders. These are the angel moms and families that for decades our government betrayed and our media totally ignored. It was terrible. Hard to believe, actually. In 2023, a 16-year-old high school cheerleader named Elizabeth Medina was supposed to perform in her town's Christmas parade, but she never arrived. Her mother, Jacqueline, went home to look for her, and she found her lying dead in a bathtub, bleeding profusely after being stabbed 25 times. Elizabeth's killer was a previously arrested illegal alien who had broken in and brutally extinguished the brightest light in her family's life, violently and viciously. Her heartbroken mother is in the gallery to remind everyone in this chamber exactly why we are deporting illegal alien criminals to our country at record numbers, and we're getting them the hell out of here fast. We don't want them.
Alicia, fascinating how we talk about illegals and we are the true illegals in this country. Okay, go ahead and leave. Leave then if you don't like it, Alicia.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you. We can never forget that many in this room not only allowed the border invasion to happen before I got involved, but indeed they would do it all over again if they ever had the chance. If they ever got elected, they would open up those borders to some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world. The only thing standing between Americans and a wide open border right now is President Donald J. Trump and our great Republican patriots in Congress. Thank you. Thank you. As we speak, Democrats in this chamber have cut off all funding for the Department of Homeland Security. It's
They
all
sure
cut off.
have.
It's all cut off. They have instituted another Democrat shutdown, the first one costing us 2 points on GDP. 2 points we lost on GDP, which probably made them quite happy, actually. Now they have closed the agency responsible for protecting Americans from terrorists and murderers. Tonight, I'm demanding the full and immediate restoration of all funding for the border security, homeland security of the United States, and also for helping people clean up their snow. We have no money because of the Democrats, and it would be nice. We'd love to give you a hand at cleaning it up, but you gave no money. Nobody's getting paid. It's a shame. So you have to think about it. We have, in case you didn't know, pretty large snowstorm out there. One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight, I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Yep. Why is that so difficult? Why is that so difficult? It wasn't that long ago that Obama believed that, Chuck Schumer believed that, but now the narrative has shifted because, again, they don't have enough kids to actually win elections, so they got to import a voting population, or they have to educate conservatives' kids and indoctrinate them to vote for them because they don't have enough kids to actually win the day. Is what it is. Said what I said. Democrats will fight and die on the Hill to make sure a 12-year-old can be chemically castrated and surgically mutilated if they say they're a girl. But when it comes to actually protecting American citizens from people that are in the country illegally, oh no, they lose their dang minds. Like this is where the Democratic Party is. This is where they chose to be there. We didn't push them there. This is where they chose to be. And us pointing it out doesn't make us divisive. That's what they chose. Somebody's asking about Spanberger. Oh, yeah, they are grooming Spanberger to be the presidential candidate against Vance. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Some guy said Vance Rubio 2020. I think that will be the ticket, actually, unless something major happens. Thanks, Diana.
Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I love it.
That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah. I love it. I love it, man. Like,
I love that he's attacking them right now.
I do too. It is what it is. Like, I'm sorry, the whole nice game is done. They killed it decades ago. It's time for us to wake up. Yeah, because there is one side of this. Look, plenty of Republicans piss me off, but every Republican I know loves their country. Every Republican I know loves their country. I don't know a single,
and perhaps most importantly,
I don't know a single elected Democrat that truly loves their country.
The Save America Act.
There it is. I knew that one was coming. And I stand by that statement. I know a single elected Democrat that truly loves their country. Anytime they talk about their country, anytime they talk about the country, they always got a caveat. Oh, we're really bad, but
in our sacred American elections, that cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID.
Yep. Yeah, Volpine said, I might think Republicans are sometimes misguided, but I'm not even comfortable with Democrats around my children. They're not the same. I agree.
All voters
Fundamental
must
difference.
show
Fundamental difference in
proof
how we view
of
reality.
citizenship in order to vote.
That should be common sense. Common sense.
And no more crooked mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. None.
Yeah. Lord Fairfax said, does Spanberger have the ability to win the Democrat primary against
And
Newsom?
this should be an easy
Yes,
one.
she
And by
does.
the way, it's polling at 89%, including Democrats. 89%.
So Stephanie said, small things stop daylight savings. I had that bill in Virginia.
And
I
even
had
the
that
new
bill.
communist
Carried it
mayor of
twice.
New York City. I think he's a nice guy, actually.
Even
Leave him
the
alone.
communists.
Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a social security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens.
Yeah, that's great. Delegate Tom Garrett from the Virginia House of Delegates says, Nick Freitas, you need to show ID twice to buy pot. Dems are doing doper suppression. I know you would, well, again, they want you to get high and then go vote. But yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Oh my gosh.
The reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's
Yep.
only one reason.
Yep.
Yep.
They make up all
True story.
excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things you almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat. They have cheated, and their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, John.
Oh, see, that's right to Thune, right to John Thune. We got to stop it.
It's the Senate that's holding this up.
It is. And dude, go follow Mike Lee. Go follow Delegate Tom Garrett. Go follow Mike Lee. Mike Lee has been doing
And here's
yeoman's
one
work
more
on this.
opportunity to show common sense in government. In the gallery tonight are Sage Blair and her mother, Michelle.
Oh,
In
this is what I was
2021,
talking about.
Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to
We know this
socially
story.
transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. Hard to believe, isn't it? Before long, a confused Sage ran away from home after she was found in a horrific situation in Maryland. A left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because
Yep.
they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But today, all of that is behind them because Sage is a proud and wonderful young woman with a full ride scholarship to Liberty University. Sage and Michelle, please stand up.
All right. So you guys got to understand something. I carried this bill in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I carried Sage's Law in Virginia, and when I left and I asked Karen Hamilton to run in my place, she carried the bill. Karen Hamilton, great delegate for the 62nd District. The last time I carried the bill, Speaker Don Scott wouldn't even allow the
Thank
bill to
you
be
for your
heard.
great bravery.
Wouldn't
and
even
who
allow
can
testimony.
believe that we're even
Sage's
speaking
mother
about
was not
things
allowed
like
to come and
this?
testify.
15
Was
years
not allowed to
ago,
come and
if somebody
testify.
was up here and said that, they say, what's wrong with him? But now we have to say it because it's going on all over numerous states without even telling the parents. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we're even talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it
Is that
immediately.
what Sage's Law was, to stop the government from
Yes,
transing?
Sage's Law said that the school cannot hide. They could not engage in socially transitioning a child without notifying the parent, and that's what Democrats stopped. And
These people
Karen carried
are
it this year. They
crazy.
killed it
I'm
again.
telling you, they're crazy.
Yes, they are. gosh, that one just pissed me off, man.
Amazing.
Pissed me off.
Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Anyway, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don Scott, the Speaker of Virginia, killed Sage's law without even a hearing. He wouldn't even allow for hearing. He wouldn't
No
allow
one
testimony,
cares more
nothing.
about protecting
That's
America's
who he
youth
is.
than our wonderful First Lady. Now a movie star. She's a movie star. Can you believe it? Who would have believed that? Over the past year, she has had an incredible impact championing AI legislation, advancing a landmark executive order on foster care, and helping secure $30 million to launch the Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. It's a tremendous, really a tremendous thing that happened and had a lot of bipartisan support. She gets much better bipartisan support than I do. I get none. She gets a lot. Someday you're going to have to tell me how you did that. And students and educators in every state have joined the First Lady's efforts in the presidential AI challenge, keeping America's next generation positioned to succeed and strongly succeed in the future. Tonight, we welcome two young people whose lives reflect the First Lady's impact, Sierra Burns and Everest Nevermont. Thank you both. And Melania, thank you. I know how hard you worked on it. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to say that during my time in office, both the first 4 years and in particular this last year, there has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God.
Wow.
Tremendous
I can't believe he's
renewal.
bringing this up.
Yeah.
I can't believe he just said that.
This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man.
Yep, loyal to law. He said it.
So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred, really martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please stand. Thank you, Erica. Been through a lot. In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind.
Yeah, Charlie was a huge loss. Whenever somebody says who's going to replace Charlie, I'm like, dude, nobody. Nobody. There's going to be something different, and that's okay.
We
But
love religion,
Charlie was
and we
incredible.
love bringing it back, and it's coming back at levels that nobody actually thought possible. It's really a beautiful thing to see. Above all, unleashing America's promise requires keeping our communities safe. We have made incredible strides, yet dangerous repeat offenders continue to be released by pro-crime Democrat politicians again and again. We are honored to be joined tonight by a woman who's been through hell, Anya Zurutska. In 2022, she and her beautiful daughter, so beautiful, what a beautiful young woman, Irina, fled war-torn Ukraine to live with relatives near Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the way, what's going on with Charlotte? Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail, stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget there were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zaretsky, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina.
Yeah. Simmons Coffee said, wasn't Spanberger CIA? Yes.
How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there.
Yep.
Democrats are carrying legislation in Virginia to do the exact opposite of
They're
this
trying to
right
get rid of
now.
mandatory minimums for like literally child predators. This is, again, it's who they are. When you believe.
Starting last summer,
and see how none of them are standing up? None of them are standing up to this.
Law enforcement to restore law and order to our most dangerous cities, including Memphis, Tennessee,
Yep.
big success.
Yep.
New Orleans, Louisiana, big success. And our nation's capital itself, Washington, D.C., where we have almost no crime anymore in Washington, D.C. How did that happen?
Yeah, it turns out when you punish criminals, you get less crime. Hey, who knew? Who knew? Not Democrats, though. Abigail Spanberger is making sure that we let criminals out early in Virginia at the same time that we
crime in
disarm law-abiding
Washington
citizens.
is now at the lowest level ever recorded, and murders in D.C. this January were down close to 100% from a year ago.
Candace said that Nick Shirley is carrying the banner. Nick Shirley is. There's different jobs to be done, and I've met Nick.
don't
Nick's
like
a great
either.
guy. I interviewed him.
One of the sick people, one
He
of
does
the
really good journalism.
brave service members who helped achieve this stunning turnaround was 20-year-old West Virginia Army National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. After a 4-month deployment, she voluntarily extended her service, and her rank was going to be lifted. She was doing so well. They were so proud of her. But the very next day, she was on patrol near the White House when she was ambushed and shot in the head by a terrorist monster from Afghanistan. Shouldn't have been in our country. And all because she wore the uniform of our nation, she was shot. He traveled here because he didn't like people wearing our uniform. He was sick and deranged, shouldn't have been in our country. Sarah Beckstrom died in order to defend our capital, and we are honored to be joined by her wonderful parents, Gary and Eva Lee. Your daughter was a true American patriot, and she will be greatly missed. She was a great person. I saw reports on her. They've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Yeah, Delegate Tom Garrett said homicide at 126-year low, maybe interdicting drugs before they get here and deporting criminal aliens helped. Maybe a coincidence, LOL. Yeah, no, obviously. Obviously. It's uniquely frustrating, too, when somebody
sorry.
commits a crime
Thank
like
you
that
very
and they're here illegally.
A great young lady. I saw reports that were like, perfect. She was perfect. Serving alongside Sarah that day was Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. The terrorist shot Andrew in the head, and no one thought he could possibly make it. The two of them, Sarah and Andrew, both shot violently in the head. Neither was expected to make it. They weren't even given a chance, except his wonderful mother, named Melody, who I spoke to the same night. And she was so positive. The doctors thought that Andrew was gone. But his mother said, no, Mr. President, Andrew will be fine. He's going to make it. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he was given almost no chance. She said, I have no doubt, sir, he's going to be okay. This was a conversation that I had with her that night, with her son laying helplessly in bed, blood all over. Everybody is praying, she said, sir, he will be okay. The doctors didn't understand what she was saying. And after looking at the results of the damage done, neither did I. She was so strong and conclusive that even Andrew's great father felt she didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. But she turned out to be right. Right, Melanie? She turned out to be right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are they standing for that? I can't tell.
Amazing, actually. I said, where does this woman come from? She's the most positive person I've ever met. With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge of death, on his way to a miraculous recovery. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great. Nice to see you. He's a good-looking guy. Nice to see you. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much. So, Andrew, while you're up, now I'm going to ask a highly respected General James Seward to present Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf and the great family of Sarah Beckstrom with the award created by our late, great President George Washington himself. It's called the Purple Heart. We love you all. Love you. We're proudly restoring safety for Americans at home, and we are also restoring security for Americans abroad. Our country has never been stronger. In my first 10 months, I ended 8 wars, including Cambodia. Isn't it funny? Sick people. Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India. Would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank
They've
you,
been doing
Steve.
a lot of
Thank
stuff
you,
with that in Iran.
I mean, it seems like every other day we get some sort of report that we're about to attack Iran again.
I mean, the bottom line is if Biden had achieved what Trump had achieved on this, he'd have a Nobel Prize. He'd probably have 2, but it's
they
Trump.
gave Obama a Nobel Prize.
And I
for
also
nothing.
want to thank the man they report to, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Thank you, Marco.
Dude, I'll tell you what, Marco has just come into his own as Secretary of State.
The speech in Munich was excellent.
He has been the best Secretary of State in my lifetime, hands down. Hands down. It's so nice to see a State Department and a Department of War not at loggerheads with one another,
They
but
don't
actually
like
like
you.
working together.
You know, Marco got 100% of the votes when he was in confirmation. I think our next one was about 54%. And some of the Democrats are now saying, I can't believe we approved that guy. And he said it's an honor that they feel that way, right, Marco? You have done a great job, great Secretary of State. I think he'll go down as the best ever.
He really has done a great job.
Under the ceasefire I negotiated, every single hostage, both living and dead, has been returned home. Can you believe that?
Yeah. Yeah, Munich's his speech in Munich, the Munich Security Conference, was one of the most Reagan-esque speeches I've heard in a while.
Nobody thought it was possible. Nobody thought that was possible. Both living and dead. And those parents who had a dead son, their boy, they'd always tell me their boy, they wanted him as much as though he were living. That was an amazing period of time. They came back, and when we got all of the living hostages back, and many, many before them, but I always said those last 20 are going to be very tough, but we got many, many more, hundreds. But I said those last 20 are going to be tough. We got them back, but we only got back 14 or 15 of the dead of the 28. And believe it or not, Hamas worked along with Israel, and they dug and they dug and they dug. It's a tough thing to do, going through bodies all over, passing up 100 bodies sometimes for each one that they found. Tough job. And they finally got it back to 27. And then Steve and Jared, they got it back to 28. They found all 28. Nobody thought that was possible, but we did it. And I remember the family of the 28th. They were so grieved, but they were so happy as it's possible to be. They had their boy back. The mother said, "Sir, we have our boy back." What a period of time that was, but we got them all back. So thank you both very much.
Yeah. SLXG for UG says, as a former service member, I will say no, not all service members are worthy of respect. We have commie traitors in there just as we have them everywhere else. Pick and choose. SL, correct.
And we're
Absolutely
working very
100%
hard
correct.
to end the ninth war.
Oh, service may be
Killing and
honorable.
slaughter
That doesn't
between
mean every
Russia
service
and
member is
Ukraine,
honorable.
where 25,000 soldiers are dying each and every month. Think of that, 25,000 soldiers
I believe
are
that's a
dying
new statistic we just
a
heard.
month. A war which would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. As president, I will make peace wherever I can, but I will never hesitate to confront threats to America wherever we must. That's why in a breakthrough operation last June, the United States military obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program with an attack on Iranian
was
soil
epic.
known as Operation Midnight Hammer.
Yeah.
Good.
You had a couple Democrats
For
clap on that one.
decades, it had been the policy of the United States never to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Many decades. Since they seized control of that proud nation 47 years ago, the regime and its murderous proxies have spread nothing but terrorism and death and hate. They've killed and maimed thousands of American service members and hundreds of thousands and even millions of people with what's called roadside bombs. They were the kings of the roadside bomb. And we took out Soleimani. I did that during my first term. Had a huge impact.
Beautiful dogs.
He
Beautiful
was the
dogs.
father of the roadside bomb.
Some guys would go through the door, not our guys. They went through the wall with dogs, beautiful dogs. Oh, that was
Just over the
Baghdadi.
last
That was
couple of
Baghdadi.
months with the protests, they've killed at least, it looks like 32,000 protests. 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue, starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
I don't want to make deals with the
My preference.
Ayatollah. I just want to be overthrown. And I feel like the Iranian people have proven that they're willing to sacrifice to do it. I don't think the United States should be responsible for running Iran, but I think the Iranian people need to know that the United States will have their back if it comes to like actually, again, taking up arms and
My
overthrow the
preference is
Ayatollah.
to solve this problem through
Overthrow the Ayatollah.
diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
Yeah. Again, I'm not quick to regime change guy, and it's not our obligation to run Iran. But when you have Iranians that are willing to lose 30,000 people protesting their government,
And no
that's something
nation
you can
should
work
ever
with to
doubt
overthrow
America's
their.
resolve. We have the most powerful military on earth. I rebuilt the military in my first term. We're going to continue to do so. Also, we just approved a $1 trillion budget. We have no choice. We have to be strong because hopefully we will seldom have to use this great power that we built together. It's really called peace through strength, and it's been very, very effective.
He's right. One of the things that Trump has been able to do is bring back the concept of the punitive expedition. And not every single military engagement means we have to go and create parliamentary democracies in places that don't want it.
So thanks
Sometimes
to
you just beat the piss out of
Republican
them.
in Congress who are investing that record number of dollars, have no choice, in the United States Armed Forces. Also creating a lot of jobs, but we're not even doing it for that reason. Because as I said, we have more jobs, more people working today than ever before in the history of our country. And NATO countries are friends and allies. They are. They're our friends and they're our allies. Have just agreed at my very strong request to pay 5% of GDP for military defense rather than the 2%, which they weren't paying. We were paying for almost all of NATO.
Yeah,
Now they're paying 5 as opposed to not paying 2.
I think, hey, Christian, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think we spent somewhere in the neighborhood of 22, since NATO's been in effect, something like $22 trillion more.
And getting that
than the rest of the
5%
countries.
was something which everyone said
Combined.
would never be done, could not happen. We got it really easily with one meeting. And big difference between 2% that's not paid. We were paying the freight of many of them. Very few were paid up. Now 5%, then they're paid. And everything we send over to Ukraine is sent through NATO, and they pay us in full. They pay us totally in full. Every branch of our armed forces is setting records for recruitment. This is so exciting. And every service member recently.
We got Karen Hamilton in the chat too. Delegate Karen Hamilton. Karen is the one who replaced me in the Virginia General Assembly. Asked her if she'd be willing to run when it was time for me to retire. She's doing an
And every
absolutely
service
incredible
member
job
recently
in the House of
received a
Delegates.
warrior dividend of $1,776.
Yeah. My son's in the military. He got a $1,776 check. It was pretty funny. I was like, how many of your buddies are spending that on things they shouldn't? He goes,
You know,
"Quite
they
a
put
few."
it on my desk. We got the money from tariffs and other things. A lot of money we have. We have much more money than people understand. Have to rebuild that program a little bit, but it won't take long. But we got the money, and it was $1,775, and they wanted my approval. And I said, what's the number? $1,775. I said, wait a minute. For one more dollar, we can have $1,776. It's going to I said, we're going to figure that. I never asked anybody if we could afford it. One more dollar. I said, $1,776. And I said, that's good. And I'll tell you what, our military, that was 4 months ago, our military, I never see a person in the military that doesn't thank me for it. So we're honored to do it. They deserve it. And we call it 1776. It was great. And we love our military. We love our law enforcement. We love our firemen. You know, the firemen don't get mentioned enough. We love our firemen. We're also...
This is the part where I feel like Trump has gone completely off teleprompter.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, another thing I was thinking about. If you've never been to a Trump rally, I've been to a ton of political rallies. I hate going to them. A Trump political rally is actually a lot of fun because
we're
you
also
know those
restoring
teleprompters
American
are not
security
in
and
play.
dominance in the Western Hemisphere, acting to secure our national interests and defend our country from violence, drugs, terrorism, and foreign interference. For years, large swaths of territory in our region, including large parts of Mexico, really large parts of Mexico, have been controlled by murderous drug cartels. That's why I designated these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and I declared illicit fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, a lot of people are wondering why they did that. And literally what it does is it provides a legal mechanism to be able to use additional resources to go after it. It is going to be interesting to see what happens in Mexico.
And with our new military campaign, we have stopped record amounts of drugs coming into our country and virtually stopped it completely coming in by water or sea. You probably noticed that. We very seriously damaged their fishing industry also. Nobody wants to go fishing anymore. We've also taken down one of the most sinister cartel kingpins of all. You saw that yesterday. In January.
The U.S. helped with that, by the way. They
they
gave the
provided
Mexicans the
intel.
intel.
Yeah. I got the problem is that what Mexico needs is a Bukele style. They need an El Salvador style approach, which they don't have the military capacity for.
In January, elite American warriors carried out one of the most complex, spectacular feats of military competence and power in world history. No one's seen anything like it. Foreign leaders, I won't tell you who, called me and they said, very impressive, very impressive. They couldn't believe, they all watched. They saw what happened. This is a different fighting force that we had years ago when we fought to tie. You know, it's a great fighting force. I'm so proud of it. Look at Space Force. Space Force is my baby. We did that.
I'm sorry. Everybody else in the military gives crap to Space Force. You have no battle streamers, Space Force. Notice that neither Newsom nor Trump need a teleprompter, but it's for different reasons. Yeah, good point. Voltine machine.
And America's armed forces overwhelmed all defenses and utterly defeated an enemy, good fighters, to end the reign of outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro and bring him to face American justice.
Nicky Maduro. Are Democrats booing that?
They're
Democrats
booing this.
Democrats for years were like, Maduro he's a threat to democracy, and then Trump actually does something about it, and they're pissed.
This was an absolutely colossal victory for the security of the United States, and it also opens up a bright new beginning for the people of Venezuela. We're working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, to unleash extraordinary economic gains for both of our countries and to bring new hope to those who have suffered so terribly. They really did suffer. With us tonight is Alejandro Gonzalez. She grew up in a tight-knit Venezuelan family and was especially close to her beloved uncle Enrique. But after Enrique ran for office and opposed Maduro, he was kidnapped by Maduro's security forces and thrown into the regime's really infamous prison in Caracas. Alejandro feared she would never see her uncle again. She feared for her own life also. But since the raid, we have worked with the new leadership, and they have ordered the closure of that vile prison and released hundreds of political prisoners already, with more to come. Alejandro, I'm pleased to inform you that not only has your uncle been released, but he is here tonight. We brought him over to celebrate his freedom with you in person.
I'll tell you what.
Enrique, please come down.
If you guys haven't followed Daniel DiMartino, we did an interview with him. He's from Venezuela, came over in 2016, but super smart guy. Daniel DiMartino does a lot of work with Manhattan Institute, Young America's Foundation. Go follow him. He's great. It was funny. I was also talking to Nick Shirley. We were both like, how do we get to Venezuela? Because we both want to go down there. So we're trying to work that out. But That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That was one of the biggest things that Daniel DeMartino said. He goes, if we want to know that things are actually going the way that they should be going, one of the biggest questions to ask is, are political prisoners being released? And clearly they are. So Daniel had that one right. Yeah, Daniel DeMartino.
Thank you, Enrique. Have a good time. Nice to have you back, Enrique. There were many heroes
Dang,
on
this
that
is going
January
long.
raid to capture Maduro. Really great heroes. It was very dangerous. They knew we were coming. They were all set.
Is this the
But
part where
the
he brings
deeds
up
of
the
one warrior that
discombobulator?
night will live forever in the eternal
The
chronicles of
discombobulator.
military valor. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Eric Slover, planned the mission and was the flight lead in the cockpit of the first helicopter. A big, beautiful, powerful helicopter.
Beautiful
The
helicopter.
massive
Beautiful
Chinook,
helicopter.
carrying, as you can imagine, many, many American warfighters. Wearing the dog tags, his wife Amy had blessed with holy water before he left. She knew it was going to be a rough one. Eric steered the Chinook under the cover of night and descended swiftly upon Maduro's heavily protected military fortress. This was a major military installation, protected by thousands of soldiers and guarded by Russian and Chinese military technology.
And Cuban.
How did
Cuban
that work
soldiers.
out? Not too good. While preparing to land, enemy machine guns fired from every angle, and Eric was hit very badly in the leg and hip, one bullet after another. He absorbed 4 agonizing shots, shredding his leg into numerous pieces. And yet, despite the fact that the use of his legs was vital to successful helicopter flight, legs are the most important part of flying a helicopter, to deliver the many commandos who would capture and detain Maduro was the only thing Eric was thinking about. Then, even as he was gushing blood, which was flowing back down the aisle, helicopter lands at a steep angle. The machine gun stood right in front of him. They were right in front of him, 2 machine gunners who escaped the wrath of the previous planes. Eric maneuvered his helicopter with all of those lives and souls to face the enemy and let his gunners eliminate the threat. Turned the helicopter around so the gunners could take care of business, saving the lives of his fellow warriors from what could have been a catastrophic crash deep in enemy territory. Only after safely landing the helicopter with all the warriors aboard in the exact right spot, which was vital to the mission. We probably would have had to maybe cancel the mission if that didn't happen. Eric told his co-pilot, also wounded, but not as gravely, to take over. I'm about ready to pass out. The success of the entire mission and the lives of his fellow warriors hinge on Eric's ability to take the searing pain. It was unbelievable what's happened to his legs of the bullets and keep on flying and landing, and people knew what was happening. Everybody in the back of the helicopter knew because they saw the blood pouring down the aisle. Chief Warrant Officer Slover is still recovering from his serious wounds, but I'm thrilled to say that he is here tonight with his wife Amy, Eric, and Amy. Come on in.
That's pretty epic, man. That's pretty epic. Every guy out there is like, man, a warrant officer. No, a lot of your helicopter pilots, especially for like special operations and whatnot, are warrant officers. But that was one of the greatest raids of all time. Greatest raids of all. It's going to be studied forever. We have a special guest with us, delegate for the 62nd House District. She replaced that dirtbag, Nick Freitas. Karen Hamilton. How you doing, Karen?
Doing good, other than you got me into this mess.
Tag, you're it.
I see what you did now. I've started to figure it out.
Well, this warrant officer is absolutely off. Just awesome, man. That's great. We always tease the warrant officers for not working hard, but this guy is an American hero.
So we have a surprise.
Ooh, what's he gonna get?
In recognition of Eric's actions above and beyond the call of duty,
Flying cross.
I would now like to ask General Jonathan Braga, to present Chief Warrant Officer Slover
Oh, cool.
with our nation's highest
Oh.
military award, the
Wow.
Congressional Medal of Honor.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Whoa. Wow. Can't even imagine, man. Wow.
I don't think this has ever happened in a State of the Union address.
I don't think so either. Medal of Honor. So some of the things in the Medal of Honor, your son or daughter gets an automatic appointment to West Point. You never have to pay income taxes again. Not to mention the fact that it's the Medal of Honor, like it's the highest award for valor that the United States military conveys, the government conveys. Wow. Yeah, so he's 160th SOAR, I believe. I worked with 160th in Korea and in Iraq. Really good pilots. I'm sure Cameron. So Karen's husband, Cameron Hamilton, great guy, Navy SEAL, but other than that, a good human being. I think he worked with 160th too at some point.
I think so. Yeah. Are they based out of Kentucky?
They're so they've got a couple different places. They got a place in Korea, a place I think in Fort Lewis, and then I think in Kentucky as well.
Great to get to know you. I met with them and with a lot of their fellow warriors at Fort Bragg recently. You notice the name Fort Bragg. We have it back. We brought it back. We won
That's
the First
right.
World War with it.
That's
the
right.
Second World
Bragg's
War with
back,
it, and
baby.
then they decided to change the name. So we changed it back. Everybody wanted to change back too. And 10 of Eric's fellow warriors from that incredible night of victory will also be receiving medals at a private ceremony that will soon be held at the White House. And Eric will be there. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I was stationed at Bragg both when I was in the 82nd and then going through the Q course. And I always called it Bragg regardless.
Yeah. Nobody ever started calling it Fort Liberty.
No.
Thank you, Eric. That's a big one.
Well, they wasted all that money changing the
Tonight
signs.
we've
just to change
celebrated
it
many
back.
truly extraordinary
Typical
American
government.
patriots, but there is one last living legend to honor before we go.
Ooh.
He is one more heroic American aviator, Navy fighter pilot. Royce Williams served in World War II,
Wow.
Korea, Vietnam, flying more than 220 missions. In the skies over Korea in 1952, Royce was in the dogfight of a lifetime, legendary dogfight. Flying through blizzard conditions, his squadron was ambushed by 7 Soviet fighter planes. It was his first aerial combat of the war, and despite being massively outnumbered and outgunned, Royce led the takedown of 4 enemy jets and almost destroyed the others, vanquishing his adversaries while taking 263 bullets to his own plane and being seriously hurt. His story was secret for over 50 years. He didn't even want to tell his wife, but the legend grew and grew. But tonight, at 100 years old, this brave Navy captain is finally getting the recognition he deserves. He was a legend long before this evening. Royce, please stand up, and I will ask the First Lady of the United States to present Captain Royce Williams with his Congressional Medal of Honor.
Wow.
2.
This is cool, man. Oh my gosh. This is super cool to see at the State of the Union. Clear Skies said, woo, 160 SOAR. Dad was brought on in the 80s as part of 2nd Battalion, Fort Campbell. He was there nabbing Noriega and worked through all the 90s. Yeah. Yeah, the 160 SOAR guys, man. Pretty incredible pilots. This guy, geez. It's amazing some of these guys. They served in 3 wars. World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. I mean, that's just incredible. Just incredible. Our regimental commander for the Wolfhounds was a guy named Millett, Colonel Millett. He led the last bayonet charge in U.S. military history in Korea. That guy came and spoke like he had this huge like handlebar mustache. He was a Medal of Honor recipient, Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Stars. Guy was just a badass.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
The greatest generation.
Yeah.
Trump said that he fought in 3 wars.
Yeah. World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
My
Over 200
that's crazy.
missions.
My grandfather was born in World War II when he fought in
Yeah.
Vietnam.
You got to figure, like, when you look at missions, I think it was it 32 or 36 missions is what you flew in World War II as like your full term of service. Somebody in the comments correct me on that. I think it was 32 or 36. I can't remember. I think maybe I'm wrong. Was it less than that? Yeah. Thomas is like, dude's like, hell yeah, I got the adrenaline. Let's get up in the air again. Probably. Probably. Oh man. This is cool. Love seeing guys getting recognized like this. Man.
Thank you, Royce, and thank you, Eric. I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself, and I wouldn't know why I'd be taking it, but if they ever open up that law, I will be there with you someday. But, you know, that's our highest honor, Congressional Medal of Honor, and that's a big thing, and it's an honor to be in the same room with you. Thank you both very much, Eric. Thank you.
Alex Garn, Nec Aspera Rod. No fear on earth. That's right. That was the Wolfhounds motto. I still got my beret from the Wolfhounds. So last set said ultimately 36 missions by the end. Okay, good. I thought I was right on that one. Michael said, Nick, Fat Electrician will do an episode on him now. Probably. That would be awesome.
250 years is a long time in the life of a nation. But in another sense, it's really a mere moment in the eye of history. Two of the gentlemen we met in the gallery this evening took their first breaths 1 century ago. 100 years before that, on July 4th, 1826, the author of the Declaration of Independence, brilliant, Thomas Jefferson, drew his last breath. Just a single long human lifespan separates the giants who declared and won our independence from the heroes who stand among us tonight. Everything our nation has done, everything we have achieved, has been the work of those few great lifetimes. In those brief chapters, Americans built this nation from 13 humble colonies into the pinnacle of human civilization and human freedom, the strongest, wealthiest, most powerful, most successful nation in all of history. Americans ventured out across the daunting, dangerous continent. We carved paths through an unforgiving wilderness, settled a boundless frontier, and tamed the beautiful but very, very dangerous Wild West. From empty marshes and wide open plains, we raised up the world's greatest cities. Together, we mastered the world's mightiest industries and shattered history's monstrous tyrannies. And we liberated millions from the chains of fascism, communism, oppression, and terror. Americans lifted humanity into the skies on the wings of aluminum and steel. And then we launched mankind into the stars on rockets powered by sheer American will and unyielding American pride. We wired the globe with our ingenuity. We captivated the planet with American culture. And now we are pioneering the next great American breakthroughs that will change the entire world. All of this and so much more is the enduring legacy, unmatched glory of the hardworking patriots who built and defended this country and who still carry the hopes and freedoms on all of humanity's backs. For years, they were forgotten, betrayed, and cast aside. But that great betrayal is over, and they will never be forgotten again. Because when the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. And when God needs a nation to work his miracles, he knows exactly who to ask. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of providence, And these first 250 years were just the beginning. From the rugged border towns of Texas to the heartland villages of Michigan, from the sun-kissed shores of Florida to the endless fields of the Dakotas, and from the historic streets of Philadelphia to right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
That was pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Karen, so glad to have you on right now. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, Karen Hamilton, delegate for the 62nd District of the Virginia House of Delegates. She's had a front row seat to everything that's been going on in Virginia right now. And for those of you who don't live in Virginia or thinking, why does this apply to me? I am telling you the handbook that Democrats are going to use to try to take over your state is what they just did in Virginia, not to mention the fact that Abigail Spanberger, who's going to be doing the response to the State of the Union, and we're going to be bringing that on as well. That's why I'm so glad we have Karen here.
We're going to watch Spanberger's response.
Is going to be Governor Spanberger's response. So we'll see what she has to say. Again, it's supposed to be, I've got a channel up here. We'll see.
Let me guess. It'll be affordability, the rule of law, tariffs are bad. And, this administration is breaking all sorts of precedents and institutions and norms at the same time that her party's leaders in the legislature are literally killing bills without giving them a hearing, which is, by the way, that's something that has never happened in Virginia until Democrats took over in the General Assembly.
Well, the other thing too, I want to mention here is because you saw one of the people that was mentioned today was Sage and Blair. I carried Sage's law for 2 years. The first year we actually got to testify, even though Democrats tried to shut down testimony early. The second year, they did not even hear the bill. Delegate Don Scott made sure they didn't hear the bill because I don't think he wanted Democrats to have to vote no. They could have voted yes, but he didn't want them to have to vote no on a bill. And one of the things that I asked Karen Hamilton to do when I asked if she would run when I was getting ready to retire is if she would carry that bill again. And she did. She diligently carried it, worked with the family. I mean, Karen, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with carrying Sage's law? Because as you saw tonight, the president recognized Sage, recognized her grandparents who are her adoptive parents at this point. But can you tell us a little bit about that experience that you had?
Sure. Yeah, I was surprised that they actually heard the bill because, like you said, last year they didn't even give it a hearing, and then I think it was the previous year that they basically split the testimony time between that and another bill. Correct?
Yep. Yes, they did. They crammed in other bills that had nothing to do with it.
Sure. So, but of course, they had plans to kill it immediately, and we had people lined up to testify on my side. Unfortunately, I didn't have the family, but I had many staunch just supporters that had been there year after year to testify on behalf of that bill. And they did a great job, but it was Delegate Askew. He was just immediately ready to pounce on whether or not, he was trying to set up a gotcha question of whether or not gender dysphoria is a mental illness. And, how can you prove that? And let's see the medical journals about that. And it turned into basically, you guys just want to out kids. You want to create a dangerous environment for children at school to where they don't feel safe and blah, blah, blah. So unfortunately,
let's clarify something too, because I carried that bill previously. One of the things that we had worked on that was that we understood that there was a difficult situation where, when are teachers obligated to inform parents? And we didn't want to create a situation where if a teacher overhears something or if a counselor has a conversation, in private or confidence or whatever, we had all the appropriate amendments to say, look, it's before the school
actively participates in the social transitioning of a child, that before you decide to call the child by a different name, before you decide to tell the child to use a different bathroom, that's when you got to inform the parents. And we even had the caveat where it was like, look, if you think you think the child's in danger, right, you don't have to share, but then you have to report because you're a mandatory reporter. And so here it is where it's like, you guys, we did all the caveats that you wanted, and you still said no. And it didn't matter what evidence we brought to bear, because this is the hill the Democrats will die on. And it's just amazing to me.
It is amazing because it's a 90-10 issue, you know, the trans issue, and they keep on just digging in their heels on it. And I mean, Virginia code currently says that parents have the ultimate authority when it comes to the upbringing, the care, and the education of their child. And I basically said, all right, this hits at least two of those wickets: the education, because we're talking about in schools, and the health. And so, you know, we're talking about a mental health issue, and you know, I couldn't just get them to admit that they are trying to have this whole mental health push in our schools, and they want this to occur without parents' involvement.
Yeah. KJO5501 said, I'm so grateful to be watching with you, Nick. It's the closest thing to watching with my late dad. He would have loved your comments and would have added many of his own. Thank you very much. I'm honored, and I would have loved to share those comments and probably those jokes and rude remarks with him. Volpine Machine said, is listening to Spamberger going to increase my heart attack risk? You know, potentially it could, but you know what? That's why you got to fight on. That's why you got to keep going to the gym, so that we can hear what they're going to say and refute it. But again, it's one of the reasons why I'm honored to have Karen on here, because Karen represents James Madison's district in the Virginia House of Delegates, and here with the 250th anniversary, that's even more important. But Karen, I want to ask you another question. When it comes to a lot of the legislation that's been put forward, one of the theories I've had has been, look, some of the stuff is going to pass because this is what they want. This is who they are. This is what the Democratic Party currently stands for. And to give everyone an idea of some of the worst bills that have gone forward on this, I'm going to read off a couple. So first of all, the constitutional amendments are horrible in and of themselves. We're talking about, they include abortion up to the point of birth is going to be enshrined in the Constitution, not to mention the fact that they wrote the bill so poorly that theoretically, a judge could interpret this, because they wrote about reproductive rights. A judge could interpret this as that if your 12-year-old wants to be sterilized as part of a transgender surgery, they could argue that preventing them from doing so is an infringement on their reproductive rights. And when Sia Price, who I came into the House of Delegates with the freshman with, Sia Price, who's been a big advocate for trans surgery and everything else, she came in there and I asked her a question, and I asked it in a way that I knew would piss her off. And I said, okay, are you claiming that we don't have to put additional protections into this constitutional amendment, into the language, because according to you, it is already a violation of Virginia law because a minor cannot consent to sterilization? Is that correct? And she went on this whole thing, like basically talking to me like I'm an idiot, saying, well, yes, this is clearly already written in Virginia code. And the whole reason I asked the question, I knew it was written in Virginia code. I wanted to get her on the record speaking out loud, because University of Virginia had already been doing trans surgeries, which led to the sterilization of minors.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, good. Thank you, Delegate Price, because inevitably when someone comes to sue the living piss out of the University of Virginia, I want them to be able to use your floor speech as evidence that they were actually treated this way. But the whole reason I asked that question is because we saw some of these most ridiculous bills, things like, where's another one? They wanted to get rid of mandatory minimums for a variety of things, to include child pornography, to include assault against police officers. How many of these bills do you think are going to pass simply so Abigail Spamberger can veto them to pretend she's a moderate?
Yeah, I think that I think the mandatory minimums, I hope at least Spamberger is going to veto that one. I think a lot of the gun bills are going to go through. I actually had an opportunity to question Spamberger on that. She had a reception at the governor's mansion, and I think she was a little surprised I showed up because I had been trolling her pretty hardcore during the campaign, but I decided not to let her off the hook and go to the mansion. And I did. I actually asked her, where are you at with some of these gun laws? Because I mean, they are trying to just pass everything all at once. And she kind of alluded to the fact that, some of the storage ones, she's definitely going to pass the guns safety. And then she said, she basically said, I'm not sure about the magazine capacity ones. Some people say those would save lives. Others would say you just would reload magazines rather quickly. But then, she kind of signaled that she didn't really want to say either way. So I do think it's true what you're saying. They're going to let a few of these go through. She's going to veto them, and she's going to come through looking like a moderate, and they're going to get most of what they want.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. So Spanberger's about to speak here in a couple seconds. I've pointed this out to people before that the people running the Commonwealth right now are Don Scott and Louise Lucas. Okay, here we go. Let's go directly over to Spanberger. I'll share this right now. Wait 1 second here.
Nick, have you heard that Spanberger's chief of staff is suing Louise Lucas's top consultant? For defamation.
Yeah. Let me. Okay.
That's kind of interesting.
That is.
Shoot, trying to share this right now. Sorry. Where is it? Darn it.
I think she's going to focus on affordability, though.
Here we go.
To take on the extraordinary task of governing themselves. Before there was a Declaration of Independence, a Constitution, or a Bill of Rights, there were people in this room. The people who served here ultimately dreamed of what a new nation, unlike anything the world had ever seen, could be. The United States was founded on the idea that ordinary people could reject the unacceptable excesses of poor leadership, band together to demand better of their government, and create a nation that would be an example for the world.
Since when have Democrats liked our founding? They're constantly apologizing, saying that, it was a bunch of rich white slave owners.
As we celebrate 150 years since America declared our independence from tyranny, I can think of no better place to speak to you as we reflect on the current state of our union. Tonight, as we watched our nation's lawmakers gather for a joint session of Congress, we did not hear the truth from our president. So let's speak plainly and honestly. And let me ask you, the American people watching at home, 3 questions. Is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family?
Yes.
Is the president working to keep Americans safe both at home and abroad?
Are you kidding? Yes.
Is the president working for you? As I campaigned for governor last year, I traveled to every corner of Virginia, and I heard the same pressing concern everywhere. Costs are too high in housing, healthcare, energy, and childcare. And I know these same conversations are being had all across this country.
Oh, especially Virginia.
Because since this president—
So I raised 50 taxes and slapped a $500.
His reckless trade policies have forced American families to pay more than $1,700 each in tariff costs. Small businesses have suffered, farmers have suffered, some losing entire markets. Everyday Americans are paying the price. And even though the Supreme Court struck these tariffs down 4 days ago, the damage to us, the American people, has already been done. Meanwhile, the president is planning for new tariffs, another massive tax hike on you and your family.
Spanberger's talking about tax
in
hikes?
Congress, they remain unwilling to assert their constitutional authority to stop him. They're making your life harder. They're making your life more expensive. They're even making it more difficult to see a doctor. Rural health clinics in Virginia and across the country are already closing their doors thanks to the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, championed by the president and Republicans in Congress. And tonight, the president celebrated this law, the one threatening rural hospitals, stripping healthcare from millions of Americans and driving up costs in energy and housing,
Oh my
all while cutting food programs for hungry kids.
This is so
But here in Virginia, I
horribly
am
wrong.
working with our state legislature to lower costs and make the Commonwealth more affordable.
She's honest. Her legislature is recommending taxes on what,
And it's not just
51
me.
different things?
Democrats
From dog walking to
across the
Uber?
country are laser focused on affordability in our nation's capital and in state capitals and communities across America. In the most innovative and exceptional nation in the history of the world, Americans deserve to know that their leaders are focused on addressing the problems that keep them up at night. Problems that dictate where you live, whether you can afford to start a business or whether you have to skip a prescription in order to buy groceries. So I'll ask again, is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family? We all know the answer is no. I grew up in a house of service. My mother was a nurse.
Oh, here we go.
And my father was a career law enforcement officer.
And you were the guy that
I
freed up
began my
funds for
career by
Iran to kill my
following
friends in
my
Iraq.
father's footsteps as a federal agent working money laundering and narcotics cases. I worked side by side with local and state police to keep our community safe and to uphold and enforce the law. Law enforcement officers
Except
across
immigration
the
law.
country know that it is a unique responsibility to do the serious work of investigating crimes, comforting victims, and making arrests. It's about building trust, and that requires an abiding sense of duty and commitment to community. And yet, our president has sent poorly trained federal agents into our cities, where they have arrested and detained American citizens and people who aspire to be Americans. And they have done it without a warrant.
I love
They
that
have
just
ripped
says people who
innocent
aspire to
mothers
be
away from their
Americans.
The
babies.
people who
They
aspire
have
to
sent
be
children,
Americans, who cross the
a
country
little
illegally.
boy in a blue
Oh my God.
bunny hat, children to far off detention centers.
His
And they
dad
have
left him in the
killed
snow,
American
Abigail. Should
citizens
they have
in
left him
our
there?
streets. And
What
they
a-
have done it
oh my
all
God.
with their faces masked from accountability.
Yeah, mass
Every
because
minute
your
spent
people
sowing
threaten their
fear is a minute
families.
not spent investigating murders, crimes against children, or the criminals defrauding seniors of their life savings.
You mean like in
Our
Minneapolis?
president told us
Somali
tonight
fraud?
that we are safer because these agents arrest mothers and detain children. Think
Oh
about
my
that.
gosh.
Our
Wow.
broken immigration system is something to be fixed, not an excuse for unaccountable
You
agents
guys
to
broke
terrorize
it,
our
Abigail. You
communities.
broke it, and then you refused to finish. You broke it, you refused to fix it, and now we have a massive problem. And now you want to
After
point to
working
others?
in law enforcement, I
What a
continued my
joke.
career of service as a CIA officer, working undercover to protect the United States and our allies from global threats, terrorism, nuclear weapons, and the aggression of adversarial nations around the globe.
Then why did you support
But as
Iran
the
getting their
president
money?
spoke of his perceived successes tonight, he continues to cede economic power and technological strength to Russia, bow down to China, bow down to a Russian dictator, and make plans for war with Iran. Here's the truth. Over the last year, through Doge, mass firings, and the appointment of deeply unserious people to our nation's most serious positions, our president has endangered the long and storied history of the United States of America being a force for good. So I'll ask again, is the president working to keep Americans safe,
Yes,
both at home and abroad?
100%.
We all know the answer is no.
No, it's yes. I was a Green
In his
Beret.
speech
I was
tonight,
over in Iraq when you were
President
giving
did what
Iranians
he
money to
always
kill
does.
my friends and shoot
He
at me.
lied,
Yes.
he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges, so many of which he is actively making worse. He tries to divide us. He tries to enrage us, to pit us against one another.
Abigail Spanberger went around
neighbor
Virginia telling
against
everyone to
neighbor.
let their
And
rage
sometimes
fuel
he
them.
succeeds.
Yep.
That was their actual
And so you
campaign
have
slogan.
to ask, who benefits from his rhetoric, his policies, his actions, the short list of laws he's pushed through this Republican Congress? Somebody must be benefiting.
Americans.
He's enriching himself, his family, his friends.
He don't need the money,
scale
Abigail.
Of the
He don't need the
corruption
money.
is unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto
Oh,
scams,
like you cared,
cozying up to
Abigail. Like
foreign
you
princes for
cared.
airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting his name and face on buildings all over our nation's capital. This is not what our founders envisioned, not by a long shot.
Like Abigail, like any Democrat cares about our founders. They tell our kids in school that our founders were with a bunch of rich
I'll
white
ask again.
slave owners.
Yeah.
And now she wants you to believe that she
Working for
actually
you.
cares about what our founders
We
thought.
all
Yeah.
know the answer is no. But here's the special thing about America. On our 250th anniversary, we know better than any nation what is possible when ordinary citizens, like those who once dreamed right here in this room, reject the unacceptable and demand more of their government. We see it in the determination of students organizing school walkouts all across
Instead of
the
going
country.
into
Gosh,
Whose
most
voices are
astroturf
becoming so
movement
powerful that
ever.
the governor
Schools with like a
of Texas
50%
seeks to
literacy
silence
rate,
them.
moving
We
like,
see
you
it in
know,
the bravery
protests,
of Americans in Minnesota
walkouts.
standing up for their communities, from peacefully
Wow.
protesting in sub-zero temperatures
Peacefully
to
protesting.
carpooling
That's not a
children
good
to
flex.
school
No.
so that their immigrant parents are not ripped away from them in the parking lot. As a mother of 3 school-aged daughters, I am inspired
That she won't
by their
protect in
bravery,
bathrooms.
but I
Yeah,
am sickened
exactly.
that it is
But if, when a
necessary.
girl gets raped in a,
And
in a
Americans
Virginia public
across
school
the
bathroom,
country
Abigail
are
Spanberger
taking
doesn't
action.
care.
They
Yeah.
are
But when it
going
comes
the
to an illegal
ballot
immigrant
box
getting
to
deported, then she
reject
wants people out there
this
protesting.
chaos.
Right.
With their votes, they are writing a new story, a more hopeful story. In November, I won my election by 15 points. And we won 13 new seats in our state legislature
How'd you win it in 2020, Spanberger?
because
Flash drive
voters
Abby.
decided they
Right.
wanted
Flash drive
something
Abby.
different. Our campaign earned votes from Democrats, Republicans, independents, and everyone in between because they knew as citizens they could demand more, that they could vote for what they believe matters.
Wait
and
until
that
I
they
tell you the
didn't
list of
need to
bills
be
that Abigail
constrained by
Spanberger
a
is
party
supporting
or
by
political
Democrats.
affiliation.
Yep.
This is happening across the country. New Jersey elected Mikey Sherrill as governor in a double-digit victory. Democrats flipped state legislative seats in places like Georgia, Iowa, Mississippi, and Texas. The list goes on and on. Ordinary Americans are stepping up to run in the spirit of our forefathers. They are
The
running
ones you
to
guys
demand
hate.
more and to do more for their neighbors and communities. I know the story well. I first ran for office in 2018 alongside dozens of other Democrats who did the seemingly impossible, flipping 41 seats in Congress. In my case, I was the first Democrat elected in 50 years, swinging our district 17 points. Those who are stepping up now to run will win in November because Americans, you at home, know you can demand more and that we are working to lower costs. We are working to keep our communities
costs.
and our country safe, and we are working for you.
Karen, who's in the Virginia House of Delegates, is going to tell us just how they plan to lower costs by raising your
In
taxes
his
51
farewell
times.
address,
Yeah.
George Washington warned us about the possibility of, quote, cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men rising to power.
He meant women too,
But he
Abigail,
also
like you.
encouraged us, all Americans, to unite in a common cause, to move this nation forward. That is our charge once more, and that is what we are seeing across the country. It is deeply American and patriotic to do so, and it is how we ensure that the state of our union remains strong, not just this year, but for the next 250 years as well, because we, the people, have the power to make change, the power to stand up for what is right, the power to demand more of our nation.
Yeah, she would only agree to one debate with me, and it wasn't even a debate. It was a forum, and it was 3
May
weeks
God
after
bless the
voting had already
Commonwealth
started.
of Virginia, and may God bless the United States of America.
Oh my gosh, that was obnoxious. Okay, so you heard her. She's talking about who's going to defend the country, who is actually doing what it needs to do to take care of you. All right, well let's look at a couple of things here real quick.
Democrats
because I
don't
wanna-
even believe in this country.
No,
they'll
they
throw
don't.
out they'll send rioters out into the streets waving Mexican flags in American cities, holding up signs saying "Viva la Raza," long live
Yep.
the race, which is a Mexican nationalist phrase, by the way. These people utterly reject the existence of our country. Fundamentally, they do not believe in the existence of nation states. They want to dissolve nationalities. They want to dissolve borders. They fundamentally reject the idea that the United States can exist as a specific geographic political entity for a specific group of people that we call the American people. They reject all of that.
Yeah.
And then for them to go out there and then cite the founding fathers and cite the founding of this country, this is a country that they fundamentally believe is illegitimate. And we know this because they have spent the last 10 years, at least 10 years. If you go back into academia, it's been more like 40 years.
Yeah.
They've spent the last 10 years publicly telling us this. They've been tearing down American statues of people like Thomas Jefferson, who helped found this country, because he was an evil white slave owner. They've spent this entire past decade rewriting American history because they fundamentally hate this country. They hate this country. They tell us that they hate this country. It is utterly hypocritical to listen to a Democrat cite any part of the American founding, any part of the founding fathers, or anything that this country was founded upon, because they reject the idea that countries can even exist in the first place. And I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's utterly outrageous to listen to these people.
I want to start with this. She said, who's protecting us overseas? I remember I had Abigail Spanberger, when I ran against her for Congress in 2020, only agreed to one debate. And it wasn't a debate, it was a forum. And it was weeks after early voting had already started. And then she agreed to one other private debate with like a left-wing group. And on that one, she started bragging about how she was one of the CIA analysts that encouraged, us opening up and working more with Iran. When millions of dollars, like hundreds of millions, billions of dollars were freed up to go to Iran, they used it in order to fund Shia militias in Iraq that we were fighting. Now she's sitting there bragging about it like, oh, I was a clandestine CIA operative. Not in Afghanistan, not in Iraq. You were off in other areas doing your clandestine stuff. But then when it came time to actually recommend foreign policy, you were doing it in a way that was getting my friends killed.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here and you want to lecture the American, you want to use your CIA credentials to lecture the American people on how Trump is not doing a good job on foreign policy. Good luck with that. But then the most obscene idea is this thing where, oh, no, they're all about affordability. Karen, you are currently in the Virginia House of Delegates. What are Democrats currently doing for affordability for Virginians?
Nothing. The only thing they're really doing that could be claimed to be affordability isn't affordability at all. They're increasing taxes so they can subsidize select groups of people, basically net recipients of benefits. That's the only thing they're doing. So a very small group of people will see their bills come down. Everybody else is going to see their bills go up.
Well, and this is the crazy part, right? I've seen this before. Whenever we were trying to do tax cuts, Democrats would stand up on the floor and they would argue, oh, these tax cuts are going to the rich. What they meant was tax cuts were going to people who pay taxes. If you're a net beneficiary of government spending, you're not a taxpayer. Yeah, you may pay your sales tax, you may pay your property tax, but if you're getting more from the government than you're actually paying in, you're not ultimately a taxpayer in the aggregate. And we would point this out. This is the part that was so nefarious. Sia Price always did this, one of the most obnoxious members of the House of Delegates. She would get up there and she would talk about like, we've done all these tax cuts, but it's not helping these people. These people are not making as much money. And the way you look at income varies based off of what you earn versus what you get from the government in benefits. So for instance, if we're just talking about what you earn, well, then the people who are constantly working and earning more, they're constantly paying more in taxes and they're getting less benefits. But if a significant part of your income is government benefits, that doesn't count to your income. So now what's happening is we cut taxes on the people paying the taxes, and Sia Price gets up on the floor and say, oh, you greedy people. These people are still not making much money. No, the total amount of money they have access to has increased because of the government subsidies. But because they're getting most of it through government subsidies instead of actual work, Sia Price gets to sit there and say, look, they're still making the same amount they were last year. Well, they're getting more money. They're just not making more money.
Right.
And this is the sort of crap. Give us an idea, Karen, if you can, because I've heard some crazy stuff on what they want to tax. But can you give us some ideas on the things that they're trying to raise taxes on?
Yeah, I pulled up a list because it's expansive. I mean, they have increased taxes, sales taxes on gym memberships, dog grooming and walking, counseling, and then everyday things like vehicle repairs, dry cleaning, storage facilities. Then, of course, the new taxes on guns and ammo. They're raising income taxes. They're slapping on an investment tax, taxes on travel, things like hotels, recreational stuff.
Yeah.
They're hitting you every which way.
Yeah, I want to bring that. Brian Butler said, wow, did Nick just say that if you're poor, then you don't really count? Brian, you're a liar. That's your problem. You're a liar. You want to talk about religion. You want to talk about how much you care. But at the end of the day, you're just a liar. Because no, that's not what I said. What I pointed out is that if you're a net recipient of tax benefits, then how do I give you a tax cut if you're already getting more? No, what you should be concerned about now, if you were really truly compassionate, is all the people working hard every day who are now going to be subjected to all of these taxes that Delegate Hamilton just mentioned. You would be concerned about them, but you're not, because this is about pushing a narrative. Well, that's what it sounded like. No, it didn't sound like that, Brian. You interpreted it that way because it's beneficial to your argument. If you actually interpreted it based off of a reasonable understanding of what I said, that's not how it would sound to you. But because you've already decided what this argument is about, you allow yourself to be able to misinterpret things. And I've gotten used to this, brother. You are not the first. I watch my Democrat colleagues do this. I watch the press do this. And one of the most beautiful things about social media was it gave us the ability to actually go and explain exactly what we mean and why we mean it and what we would like to do without the filter of people like you deliberately misinterpreting what we're saying. So no, poor people count. But when it comes to actually cutting taxes, I can't cut your taxes if you're a net beneficiary. And yes, the people that pay taxes are the ones that should actually get tax cuts, because they're also the ones producing the opportunities for poor people like I used to be able to move up the economic ladder. But that becomes very, very difficult when the Democrats decide to perpetually put people in a safety net, which is a perfect example for it because it's something you can't get out of. And that's what they're actually doing. You tell me who benefits from the Abigail Spanberger approach of getting rid of the gig economy, of getting rid of independent contractors. I have been a minimum wage employee. I've been an independent contractor. I've been a full-time employee, and I've been a business owner. And can I tell you who really made my life hard every step of the way? Democrats. Because every step of the way, they were trying to regulate me or tax me or do something that was trying to micromanage the economy that put me at a disadvantage in being able to use my skills, my abilities, and my labor to be able to negotiate the best possible business arrangement. But nope, Democrats would ride on their white horse and say I wasn't allowed to be hired at that particular rate, or I couldn't run my business a particular way. It didn't matter if free and voluntary people wanted to engage in mutually beneficial transactions, because Democrats had decided what they wanted to do in order to manipulate the economy and to be able to create client voters that they bought with my tax dollars.
Yep.
And I'm tired of it. I'm absolutely done with it. The fact that Abigail Spanberger is going to stand up and say that she's concerned about affordability and cost of living when her party is going out there trying to find every damn thing they can possibly tax and raise it is absurd. It is intellectually dishonest in the extreme. And what Delegate Hamilton pointed out here, which is really important, is that you're right. There are certain people that they want to lower costs for, because one of the things that they're trying to do, and Delegate Hamilton, correct me if I'm wrong on this. One of the things they're trying to do is they're actually trying to subsidize housing for government employees.
No, you're right. You're right. The main people benefiting from the Democrat policies are government employees, illegal immigrants, criminals, and then the lowest income bracket, which, they're attempting to purchase votes, it seems like.
Well, let me ask you this, and I want to get to Volpine's text here in a second. Let me ask you this. On the law and order piece, because that was the other thing Spanberger brought up, right? Is Donald Trump making you safer here at home? What are some of the things Democrats, Abigail Spanberger's friends, what are some of the Democrats are doing right here in Virginia right now?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the reducing the minimum times for rapists and child sex offenders. I carried a bill, and actually, this shocked Abigail Spanberger because when I had the opportunity to speak to her, I talked to her briefly about where my bills were at, and I said, well, they're all dead now, and all of them died in subcommittee except one of them got through. I thought it was going to go all the way, hopefully. And it was a bill that would remove the statute of limitations for children who had been sexually abused by a person of authority. And she was shocked that it got killed in committee. And her face kind of went like, oh my gosh, why did that bill get killed? And I'm thinking, yeah, you guys want to call us, the pedo party. And I'm sitting here trying to carry a bill that would actually allow us to update the sex offender registry, and it dies, so.
Yeah. No, it's insane, because you would think that would be one where we could get some bipartisan support, but we can't. I'm going to read off some other ones here. So one of them is the constitutional amendment, HJ2, constitutional amendment for automatic restoration of voting rights for felons upon completion of sentence, advanced and set for November 26th. To give you an idea on that one, I debated Sia Price. Sia Price had in the bill before, she had actually justified abortion up till birth. And then the very next constitutional amendment was restoration of voting rights for convicted felons. And a lot of us on the Republican side were saying, look, there are certain felonies that we would be willing to consider with you on automatic restoration of rights, provided that it's not someone that has created a victim. But you're going to give automatic restoration of voting rights to child rapists.
Right.
Automatic restoration of voting rights. And Sia Price told us we were bad Christians if we didn't support it. So that's up there. Here's another one. Where was the other one on? Let me see here. Bills to repeal and eliminate mandatory minimum sentences, supported by Justice Ford VA, targets removal for offenses like certain assaults, drug crimes, advanced and criminal justice reform package. No, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just assaults. It was child pornography, distribution of child pornography. It was sexual assault. Like, these were things the Democrats want to remove the mandatory minimums for. So I got a question for all the people that voted for Democrats in Virginia, because they were going to make your life safe. Because Abigail Spanberger just got up there and said, Donald Trump is not making your life safer. Did any of you vote for the removal of mandatory minimums for child sex traffickers? Because that's what Democrats in Virginia are trying to do right now. Did you vote for that? Did a campaign mailer show up to your house saying vote for Democrats because we're going to make life more affordable for child sex traffickers? No? Okay, but that's what they've done now that they have power. And you can tell me all day long, nobody wants that. And yet, that's what their bills do. And there's more. There's more. Because on day one, now you may be saying, well, Nick, you're doing all stuff the Virginia legislature has done. But what has Abigail Spanberger done? Okay, well, right off the bat, she terminated Virginia's 287G agreements with ICE. Executive Directive Order Number 1 ordered the Virginia State Police, Department of Corrections, Conservation Police, and Marine Police to immediately end all participation in the federal 287G program. This program had let state officers help ICE identify and detain immigrants, including those with criminal records, in custody. She rescinded Youngkin's immigration enforcement executive order on day one. She signed legislation enabling mid-decade congressional redistricting referendum, something that she had previously said that she was completely against. And now Virginia is about to have the most gerrymandered congressional districts in the country. And that's saying something when you realize Illinois is a state.
Yep.
But here we are. This is your moderate. This is your moderate Democrat. According to the news, according to everybody that is grooming her to run for president.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh. Okay, we got a couple of super chats here I want to get to. Volpine Machine. You can demand more from actual taxpayers. It's true. It's true. You can always demand more from actual taxpayers. Mayo Contain said, what did the VA governor actually rebuttal? I heard a lot of questions, nothing actually specific. And that's what this was about. She's, like I said, Abigail Spanberger she was not running for governor of Virginia. She was auditioning for president of the United States. And she's not running anything. I want to ask Delegate Hamilton this because I don't want to put her in a bad spot, but I think the two most powerful, I don't think Abigail Spanberger is running anything in Virginia. Mm-hmm. I think it's Don Scott and Louise Lucas. Don Scott's the Speaker of the House of Virginia. Louise Lucas is the Senate Pro Tempore. It's the first Black female Senate Pro Tempore, first Black Speaker of the House. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody think Abigail Spanberger gets the Democrat nomination if the first black speaker in Virginia and the first black female Senate pro tempore don't endorse her for president? I think the answer is no. So what's going to end up happening is Louise just wants to make money. She doesn't care. Don Scott is cunning as hell, and he likes to brag that he's petty as hell. And so Don Scott is going to let Abigail know. Oh, yeah, big time. Don Scott's going to let Abigail know, you can veto this, you can't veto that. And you know what Abigail's going to say? As long as I get your recommendation, as long as I get your endorsement for president, she'll do what she's told. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Ed Hauser says, what world does she live in? I answered yes to her introductory question, so all her arguments for no just fell completely flat. No, it's absolutely true, especially the things she picked, right? When she was trying to talk about affordability, and her only argument for affordability is tariffs bad.
Yep.
Right? When she's not talking about inflationary monetary policy, she's not talking about all the things Democrats did to raise prices. She's trying to act like she cares about rural hospitals. Let me tell you what. Democrats care about rural hospitals one time and one time only, and it's election year. Volfine Machine said, fun fact, spent $140K to open a business. So far, the government has made $3,000 in 4 months from my labor and effort. I have made negative $4,000, but it's improving. It's just disgusting. No, it's true. This is one of these things where Abigail Spanberger wanted to make it worse. Like, she was actually trying to get rid of the gig economy. She was actually trying to make it to where it was almost impossible to work as an independent contractor. And their justification for that is, oh, we're going to get you a job with benefits. Not if you're doing a job that can't offer you benefits because the value of your labor isn't sufficient to cover the cost. This is always the problem for Democrats. They think that this is just a question of greediness. No, some jobs don't cover some labor doesn't cover the cost of all of the benefits the Democrats are insisting upon. And so when you get rid of the independent contractors, here's what ends up happening. Only the big companies can compete for the labor. So Amazon doesn't care if you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. They can cover the cost because you will run out all of their smaller competitors, consolidate the business with Amazon, and now they get to clean house.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Ashdock said, business owner here in California spent more money every year on regulation than on things that actually help my employees. They've created victim mentality in the workplace versus actually encouraging work. You're absolutely true. One of the things I told my daughters when they first went into the workforce, when they were like 14, 15 years old, is I told them, I said, look, you deserve to be treated with respect in the workplace, but you have to actually do a good job. And by the way, you don't own the job. The job is owned by the person that created the opportunity. Right. You own your labor. You own your work ethic. You own your personality. And you deserve to get the most you can for those things, but your employer deserves to get the most for what they pay for as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Iron says Spanberger gets 0 votes outside of Nova and a national vote. I wish that were true. Karen, listen, I've spent some time up close with Abigail and Don and all the people we're talking about. You have as well. What is your take on Abigail Spanberger?
I really wish I could say she's very unlikable in person, but that's part of the problem is she's actually kind of likable in person. And I think when you look at who the Democrats have on the bench, they're not working with a whole lot. So she's kind of top tier, I think, running for president. And I think she would do better than any of us would want to admit.
Yeah. No, I think we ignore her at our own peril. Christian, you are the oracle of Virginia, man. You have had more accurate Virginia predictions than anybody in the business when it comes to elections. When you see Abigail Spanberger as a potential candidate for president, and you look at the potential Republican lineup, which is, I'm happy to say, a short list. I think it's probably J.D. Vance and maybe a Rubio ticket. There's some other people in there that would be fairly good contenders. But how do you see Abigail Spanberger against the rest of the potential Democrat field on something like this? When you look at a Kamala Harris, a Gavin Newsom, how do you see her faring in that race?
I think that you're jumping the horse or putting the horse before the cart here. I don't think she can win a Democrat primary for president.
Okay, go ahead and explain why.
She doesn't have enough support with black voters.
Well, don't you think that's where people like Don Scott and Louise Lucas come into play?
Louise Lucas and Don Scott hate Abigail Spanberger. They don't want her to be the presidential nominee.
Okay, but now here's the part where I'm going to use my experience. And I don't think they hate Abigail Spanberger. I think that here's what I would say. They don't hate Spanberger more than they love themselves. And I think they see an opportunity here.
Let me explain. Louise Lucas and Don Scott went out there recruiting Bobby Scott, the Democrat representative for Congress for Norfolk and Portsmouth and Hampton and Newport News. They recruited him to run for governor last year. He chose not to run because he saw the writing on the wall and realized that he couldn't actually beat Spanberger in a primary. But they did not want her to be the Democrat nominee. They went out of their way to try to find a primary challenge to her, and it did not work. And what happened after she got elected governor? 1 month after she got elected governor, her chief of staff is suing the top political consultant for the president pro tempore of the Virginia Senate, which is Louise Lucas.
Yeah,
Louise Lucas, and that's Ben Tribbett, who, by the way, is a disgusting human being. He's a terrible person. Go block him on Twitter if you ever get a chance. But I actually hope that Abigail Spanberger's chief of staff wins this lawsuit against Ben Tribbett. It'd be great if she bankrupted him. But if you have to think about the fact that Spanberger knew that her chief of staff was about to launch a defamation lawsuit against the chief political consultant of the president pro tempore of the Senate. Like, you've got to think about the politics behind the scenes and the closed doors.
No, Christian, I'm not debating any of that. But what I'm saying is they tried to get someone else. They didn't. Abigail's in there now. Abigail's between a rock and a hard place. She cannot piss off Don Scott and Louise Lucas because doing so hurts Louise. Oh, I will say this. She has a better chance pissing off Louise Lucas than she does Don Scott because Louise isn't playing chess. She's playing checkers. And half the time I think she's licking windows. Don Scott, on the other hand, look, as much as I despise the guy's policies, he is an
good
intelligent
politician.
He is an intelligent guy. He's an incredibly adept politician, right? I mean, look, the bottom line, this guy went from doing 7 years in a federal penitentiary, from basically getting run out of the Navy to doing 7 years in a federal penitentiary for trafficking cocaine, right? Gets out, becomes a lawyer, gets his voting rights back, gets elected to the House of Delegates, and within 6 years is speaker. That's unheard of. That's unheard of. The guy is smart and he knows how to consolidate power. And while Louise Lucas might hold grudges over this crap, Don Scott is going to be able to think 3 or 4 moves ahead. And so the only thing I would say here is that Abigail Spanberger's got 4 years to prove to Don and maybe Louise, but definitely to Don, because Don's got more staying power than Louise, that she can be worked with. And I that's the part I don't disagree with you that Don and Louise didn't want her, that they would have rather had Bobby Scott. Absolutely. But Don and Louise will get as much out of Abigail as they possibly can, and they will dangle the endorsement around her in order to get it. Now, whether or not they come through with it, that's a good point. I agree with you there.
I'm extrapolating, national trends from this. The fact of the matter is she does not have enough support with Black voters to win a Democrat primary. It's just, she has the Pete Buttigieg problem without being Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Like, if Kamala Harris were to run, I think she's
more manly than Pete Buttigieg.
I think she's more masculine than him. But
fair point.
I mean, look, it's just, I think we all know the reason why Black voters are not going to vote for Pete Buttigieg. But the fact of the matter is that she does not have enough support with Black voters right now to win a primary. If Kamala Harris were to run again, and I don't know if she will. In fact, at the moment,
she's leading in the polls.
I was about to say, if she run, that's a huge if, right? That's at, coin flip at best, right? But if she ran again, if Harris ran again, she would beat Spanberger in a Democrat primary.
You really think so? You really think so?
Yes.
Oh my
gosh. You know what? God bless the Democratic Party then. If you would take Kamala Harris over Abigail Spanberger, God bless you.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, by the way. I'm just saying if they both ran, Harris would beat Spanberger. I don't think it's guaranteed that either would run. No, AOC would not win.
Okay, so let me ask you this:
the institutional apparatus within the Democratic Party would not want somebody like AOC to.
All right, so Harris versus Spanberger, you're saying Harris wins that as of right now. Okay, Newsom versus Spanberger.
Spanberger.
I think
I don't
Spanberger
know.
wins that one.
Who wins the black vote between the two? Because
I
they're
think
going to split
Spanberger would.
the white affluent
Spanberger.
suburban. No.
Well, because
I don't
think
know.
some of the
Newsom's
black
representing
women are gonna get on
California.
board.
Well, Newsom just got done telling
He's
telling an
just as
auditorium
dumb
full
as-
of black
yeah.
people, I can't read and I got a 920 SAT. I'm just like
who
you.
wins
Like
South
you.
Carolina? Like seriously, who wins the South Carolina primary for Democrat? Like you got
I
to
think
remember,
the governor
like
of
in this,
Virginia wins it more than the governor of California. Especially if the governor of Virginia goes in there and spends the next 4 years kissing up to Don Scott, then I think the governor, I think, here's the question, right? Because this goes back to your point. Who does Don Scott want to be president between Gavin Newsom and Abigail Spanberger? Someone that he's worked with for 4 years or someone that he hasn't?
Mhm.
And where does he leverage that support?
he
and
would
where does
probably pick Spanberger over Newsom,
So this
simply
is what
because
I'm
he would have
saying.
some leverage, right? He might
Right.
get something.
Yes.
Out of it.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, you look at who Abigail Spanberger picked to be Secretary of the Commonwealth. She picked Candy King,
Mhm.
Delegate Candy King. Candy King is the delegate that Don Scott used. Every time I got up to talk, Candy would be up next,
Mhm.
right? Every single time. Candy is very loyal to Don Scott. And the only reason why she's in this position right now was because the Secretary of the Commonwealth has a lot of say on filling the bureaucracy. And Don Scott is now using the Spanberger. Spanberger knows she's 4 years and done, right? She's out after this. She's either going to be a presidential candidate, maybe a Senate candidate, but that's it, right? She's done with state politics as soon as she's done being governor. So Don is now leveraging Candy being in that position to make sure that he staffs the bureaucracy with Don Scott people.
Mhm.
Right. Like, this is why I say when everyone's like, what's going to happen to Virginia? Like, Don Scott is doing everything he can to consolidate power right now for his interests for the next 2 decades.
Mhm.
Spanberger can either facilitate those interests or not. If she facilitates them appropriately, Don might be willing to support her over other people. Or he might be willing to be quiet if it's Kamala Harris versus Spanberger. Because Kamala's a freaking train wreck. But
What do you think
mean-
his ambitions are? Don
Don-
Oh,
Scott.
he
Yeah.
wants to be mob boss of Virginia for the rest of his life.
Don wants to be like the Most High, like pretty much read whatever Lucifer said in Genesis. That's what Don wants. All right, Teddy with an M4 said nothing in the Constitution prevents discrimination based on net drain, only immutable characteristics such as race, creed, or previous enslavement. Lawrence Atuk said, here's to the coffee mug collection. Please keep it up. You can see part of the coffee mug collection behind me right here. Walnut said, good news. Y'all are the only ones who watched Spanberger. Also, the 10-second applauses were really creepy. I'm now leaving Virginia due to her. There's a lot of people leaving Virginia due to Abigail Spanberger. Rode said, y'all remember that time Virginians got fed up with their government? Pepper Ridge Farms remembers. Yes, in fact, Karen, it's right over there. The Virginia flag actually has a picture of the last time Virginians got fed up with the government. And by the way, Karen, I've actually got I've got a little gift coming to you. That's my own little special flip on the Six Semper Tyrannis.
Okay.
Ashtok said, last one, when will representatives, both sides, but definitely Dems, going to look out at our spending versus constant throwing money out to welfare? We have been kicking the can down the road for 40 years. Acid Shock, I want to say right now, Democrats are not interested in reducing welfare. That's how they create client voters.
Mhm.
That's how they create client voters. If you create client voters through welfare spending, you have no incentive to reduce welfare. Thomas Sowell has done the best work ever talking about this. If you ever want to see someone doing a great job schooling white liberal women before it was cool, go look at the Milton Friedman Free to Choose series and watch Thomas Sowell argue with like the director of welfare for the state of Pennsylvania back in like the 70s and 80s. And then Volpine Machine again, thanks again, brother. Do I need to switch to a Democratic registration to help Kamala AOC ticket win the primaries? LOL, might be worth it. Operation Chaos in honor of Rush Limbaugh. I think, again,
What state
based
is he
on,
in?
I don't know. What state are you in, Volpine Machine? You don't gotta do a super chat for that. Just go ahead and yeah, I think, look, we've been on for a while now, so we'll wrap it up here at midnight coming up, because I know Karen's got a busy day back in the back in the General Assembly. Karen, is there anything you would like to tell people about, what's being worked? I know they killed all of your bills.
Yeah.
But is there anything that people should still be looking at with respect to Virginia right now?
I mean, the main thing is we're keeping an eye on this redistricting amendment and just telling people to absolutely either register to absentee vote so that they don't miss the election, but it's supposed to be April 21st and early voting will start March 6th. So if you're still conservative and you're still living in Virginia and haven't fled to Tennessee yet, please vote.
That felt like an underhanded slap. All right. Okay, Karen, by the way, also tell everybody where they can find you on social media, because I want people, I don't care if you live in Virginia or not. Karen Hamilton is one of the people carrying the torch. Karen Hamilton, Delegate Phil Scott, Delegate Tom Garrett, Delegate Tim Griffin, Delegate Eric Zerd, Delegate Dolores Oates. These are all people who are carrying the torch in the House. Senator Bryce Reeves, Senator Mark Peake. There's some other people, but Karen, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. It's Karen Hamilton VA, and then I'm on Facebook and Instagram occasionally.
We call it X now, Karen. All right.
That's true. Sorry.
Respect to Elon. Respect to Elon for buying it and calling it X.
It's the Fort Bragg. It's always going to be Twitter.
That's right. That's right. All right. Now, thank you very much, Karen, for being here. Christian, any last thoughts, predictions? What did you, first of all, actually, I'll ask you both of this. 1 out of 10, 10 being the greatest, most phenomenal State of the Union speech you've ever heard or read about. 1 being anything Joe Biden has ever done ever. What would you say was this State of the Union speech for you, Karen?
I'd say it was a solid 8. I mean, yeah, he had some good guests there, and the men's hockey team honestly brought it home.
Yeah. All right. Karen goes with an 8. Christian, you're usually our East German judge on this sort of thing. What do you give him?
I mean, if this was an East German judge, it'd be straight to gulag. I was going to say like a 7. And then I was thinking to myself, like, do I want to be really mean and be like 6.5? But probably a 7.
Wait, what's your honest opinion?
Well, so there's a couple of problems. First, nobody's going to be convinced of anything by this speech, right? And so in a way, it's irrelevant. We're just so divided that there's no swing voters. There should be about base mobilization, especially in a midterm election. And I'm not sure
so Christian. So being that we still do have elections and being that we have won them before, did this do a good job of mobilizing the base or convincing the base? I agree with you. I don't think Abigail Spanberger was convinced by Trump's words tonight. But the question is, for all the people out there that are like, yeah, I tend to be Republican, but maybe I'm a little upset about ICE right now. Or did he get any wins here tonight for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think he got some wins. The 2 Medal of Honors, that was really cool.
Yeah.
I did get some text messages from people being like, I can't believe that he just recommended one for himself. They thought that really took away. They did think that really took away from it. But
yeah,
I do think that him highlighting some of the wins on immigration, on trade, on foreign investment into the United States, I think that some of those things were, and then the contrasting with blue state mismanagement, like with the Somali fraud problem in Minnesota, the CDL licenses for illegal immigrants that are killing people on the roads that states like New York and California are giving out. Like, these are things that Democrats are just going to reflexively oppose, and I think the general public's like, what are you, nuts? Like, why would you oppose these things? So I think that those are good reasons to get out and vote in the midterm. The problem that we have right now is that we have a low propensity base, basically, right? We have the silent majority, and that cuts both ways. It's a majority, but it's silent. And in a midterm election, that can really wreck a party,
so
even
Karen
if they have a majority of the country.
So Karen gives an 8. Christian gives a 7.
Yeah, you could say 7.
I wish he would have called out the Senate, though, about the filibuster and just put their feet to the fire, because I do think that the turnout is going to be lower if we don't get Congress to act and codify a lot of his agenda. I mean, people are just like, why are we voting?
Yeah. No, and I think that there's an argument to be made that the filibuster is going away one way or another. The question is who's going to get rid of it. Look, I'm going to, like, this is going to sound really political since I allowed myself to go third. I'm going to split the difference between you two, because Christian, I'm not as doomer as you, but that's kind of like that's our forte, right? I'm the happy side. I'm the whatever the happy side of the yin and yang is. I'm the happy side
warrior.
of it to Christian's yang. Yeah. But solid 7.5. I would lean a little bit more toward 8, but I wanted a little bit more push on the numbers. Like I wanted it to just be I wanted, because he has so much. Like I actually looked this up beforehand, and I was like looking at some of the things where, like, deportations, 675,000 formal removals, 2.2 million self-deportation, only 90,000 Southwest border encounters in full first year. Biden averaged 155,000 per month. Right? ICE detention, record high. No releases, 0 catch and release for 8 straight months. Right? 46.5 billion dedicated for the wall. When you look at the reforming government, 215 billion claim, 10% reduction in the overall size of the federal government, 271,000 positions eliminated. Now, again, he might need to be careful about doing some of that. But when I look at some of the stuff that he could have done by the numbers, and he did do some of it. He did do some of it when it came to things like talking about the amount that's being invested in American. So much of that, I just would have liked to have seen more numbers. I love that he did. In fact, I'm gonna bump him up to an 8. So I'm going back with, I'm agreeing with Karen. Bump him up to 8 because I love that they put stuff up on the screen, the side ahead, that was easy to kind of understand and remember.
I agree with that.
But what I would have liked to have done is I would have liked to have seen more contrast in that, right? Like, show me the graph where it's Biden years, Trump years, because sometimes it's not good enough to show somebody how good something is. You actually got to show the contrast from what it was to what you've actually done. And so that's one thing that I would like to see more of from the Trump team, is I would like to see them do more with respect to drawing that appropriate contrast when they're actually putting out these numbers. Because overall, the Trump administration has been really, really good with their use of social media. There's been some hiccups there, here and there, but there's been really good. So I think that is something where overall, I'm going to give him an 8. So I'm going to agree with Karen. I think it was a strong 8. I think the way he ended it was very good. The whole Medal of Honor thing, we all know it was a joke. It's just one of those things that's not the best joke. Yeah. That's what it really comes down to. It's like, it's not like I hold it against him. It was just like, out of all the things you could have joked about, the Medal of Honor is so sacred that it's like, just leave that one alone. But all the other things he did was like great. Like, it was funny. It was good. I love that he called out the Democrats. So again, I'm going down with I think it was 8. Overall, I think it was good. And like Christian said, it's not like you're convincing Democrats to vote Republican. They've already made up their mind. This is about rallying your base and rallying people that are actually willing to be convinced of something. So I think that's pretty good.
I will say, when Trump said, stand if you agree that, that the U.S. should be, oriented towards its citizens instead of illegal aliens. And like, not a single Democrat stood up.
Oh yeah. That's some great trolling.
Like, I mean, the problem is that we have so many like feckless consultants that just won't run the type of ads that like need to be run in order to win elections. Yeah. Like, Trump gave Republican consultants and campaigns ample material for them to campaign on themselves. In the form of like what could be used in TV ads or radio ads or online digital ads. The question is like whether or not our consulting class will actually run with it. Because like it's just ridiculous. Like, some of the things that he says, and then like they're silent, or in some cases they were booing. Right. So, I mean, that's why I said it was a 7. I'm being critical, but like there were some really, really good moments in this State of the Union address, I think, for sure. Like, drawing the contrast.
Yeah, and I think that John Thune, especially right now in the Senate, has got some tough decisions to make. But he needs to make those tough decisions, because the bottom line is that the American people have given Trump a chance. They haven't given Republicans a chance. They've given Trump a chance. And if the Republican Congress can demonstrate that they're able to deliver, then they may be willing to return him in the midterms. Because let's face it, if Democrats control either house, they don't got to take both the House and the Senate. But if they take the House back, which certainly within striking distance, if they take the House back, all you're going to see for the last 2 years of the Trump administration, the only thing you're going to see is impeachment hearings and investigations and tribunals. That's it. That's all you're going to get. Everything Trump wants is dead on arrival. He'll only be able to work through what he can on the executive branch. Everything will be challenged in court. And then this will be a waiting game. And you'll have some people that will say things like, well, Trump didn't get done what he was supposed to. If you don't give him a Congress, right? It's like, for the love of God, people, don't tell me you love our country and you love our Constitution without actually understanding what those documents mean with respect to the running of the government.
Right.
Right. So we have to actually have certain majorities in order to be able to get things done. Now, that does not absolve responsibility of Republicans from actually doing what they need to. But in this right now, if you don't have a 60-seat majority, you can't stop a filibuster. Mike Lee has pointed out several times and very effectively that you could at least bring back the talking filibuster.
Right.
Because right now, all the Democrats have to do is threaten a filibuster and they don't hear the bill. They don't bring it up for a vote. And Mike's saying, no, make them stand up there, make them grab their walkers and their freaking Depends and get up there and talk for 72 hours if they actually want to kill this thing, and then make him explain it. And John Thune needs to show a little bit more backbone on this. But I think if the Republicans in Congress can demonstrate a little bit of courage here, I believe they will be rewarded for it. But if they can't, then I think more and more Republicans or more and more voters that are willing to vote Republican are just going to come to the conclusion that it's all the same. It doesn't matter. What I would encourage everyone to understand, though, is Virginia had this already. Virginia had about 300,000 people that voted for Youngkin not show up for Winston Sears, Jason Miyares, and John Reed. And the end result is a lot of those people probably thought, oh, what does it matter? Well, they're finding out now, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're finding out as child predators are going to be let out of jail early. They're finding out as their gun rights are being eroded. They're finding out as their taxes are being increased. They're finding out as their energy costs are going through the roof. The bottom line is that I'm tired of voting for bad Republicans, but the best Democrat is still someone that is voting for abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy, automatic restoration of voter rights, the biggest gerrymandering in U.S. history, violent felons being let out of jail early. I don't know why. Again, if you're one of those reasonable Democrats out there, great. You go explain to me why your party's doing this. You explain to me why your party's prioritizing this.
Nick, take a look at. I'll send this to you in a DM. Take a look at this tweet from CBS. It's they were fact checking, parts of Trump's speech.
Oh, Trump.
Trump's speech, and they said fact check murder rate. In his 2026 State of the Union, Trump said, quote, last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, I think, of it in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years. A CBS fact check has determined that is true.
Wow.
I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't change the definition of murder to claim it false. Oh, gosh. All right, everybody. Well, it is past midnight. I want to thank everyone for staying on. We had a lot of people on watching tonight. Again, go follow Karen Hamilton. She's doing a great job in the Virginia House of Delegates. Again, go follow Delegate Phil Scott, Tom Garrett, Tim Griffin, Eric Zur, Bryce Reeves in the Senate, Mark Peake. We have some good guys fighting in Virginia. The other thing, too, that I would encourage you to do, we actually did a podcast a while back. If you go to Nick J. Freitas on YouTube, we did a podcast on the worst rhinos that are screwing us over. If you want to look at some of the problems in the House of Representatives, we show you, we give you a whole metric on how to look at the Republicans that are screwing you over and how to replace them in the primaries. Funny enough, Christian, I don't know if you realize this, we did that episode and I was speaking in one of their districts the next week. Yeah. Had about 500 to 600 people show up to the college I was speaking at. And
did you have anybody bring up the fact that you were in?
Yes, the state representatives who were there to listen to me speak.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It was interesting. But listen, go find more Republicans like Karen Hamilton to run. They do a great job. Once again, thank you all very much for joining us for this live stream of the State of the Union and the Democrats' rebuttal. We hope you found it informative. Also, sorry, I almost forgot this. Christian, forgive me, my friend. Go follow Christian Heiens. Christian, tell everyone where to follow you, the Oracle of Virginia.
I guess my X account is the best place to follow. That'd be at Christian Heiens. Weird way to spell Heinz, I know. 3 vowels in a row. EIE. But I'm Old McDonald, I guess. But yeah, at Christian Heiens, Heiens, first name Christian. Obviously, I'm not going to spell that out. That's pretty easy to look up. But I'm hoping that at some point, once Nick is done with his whirlwind tour, that we can actually get back to doing some more podcasts in the studio.
I am as well. Hey, look, we talked about some good things tonight, some troubling things tonight. Here's the thing I want you all to remember. Christ already won, guys. Christ already won. That doesn't mean we don't still have a lot of work to do, but pray for your country, pray for your family, pray for your own relationship with God, and focus on the things that you can actually change. We need to be aware of all of these other things that are going on, but the sort of impact that you can have on what you do, your family, your local community, never forget to invest in those things because it has an exponential effect across the country. And when we have a nation of godly men and women becoming godly husbands and wives, becoming godly fathers and mothers, and raising kids to do the same, that, my friends, is a country whose politics you don't got to worry about. Once again, thank you all very much for being here. Paracturus, thank you very much for that super chat at the last minute. And thank you for changing your party registration. Once again, guys, have a great night. God bless. And we'll see you all later.
Thanks.